Which is different than the gorillas in their midst.
Well, I said midst. I don't know that there's a movie gorilla in their midst.
That
would
That
would be Planet of the Apes.
I hope it comes. I hope it happens, and that people are just sitting around.
That's my next horror movie. Gorillas in their midst.
Well, that's actually what happens when the children fall into the gorilla pits at the zoos.
Well, that's a children in their midst. That's a little bit different.
No, I was referring to the horrific things that happens when you associate people and gorillas.
So,
it's just like you're sitting around at the Oscars. Everyone's in their
monkey
little monkey suits. Yeah,
and then there's a real monkey.
It pans out to the audience, and there's just a gorilla sitting there.
It's a gorilla.
And everyone's like holding their nose.
It's a gorilla in the Oscars. Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 45. This episode, we covered chapters 49 through 56. In other words, the last couple of chapters of The Fires of Heaven.
Great way to start.
It is.
I don't know that it was the last couple chapters. It was more than a couple.
It was a lot.
It was more than a handful.
I'm Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite mac and cheese, the VC boys. Say hello, Dave.
I'm Cheese. I'm Dave Cheese.
That means Adam's the Mac.
Yeah, I'm the one that holds everything together.
Return of the Mac, baby.
Yep. This episode we'll start out with our view from Dragonmount before moving into salad days. Just salad
Ribeye days.
Right.
Right.
And then we'll get into a little Get Randy before saying Happy Trails, and then wrapping up with our Coplin of the week and Who Leveled Up. My, oh my, did so much happen in these 8 chapters. Now, I know we read 2 more chapters than we normally do, but it feels like we read an entire book more than we normally do.
It felt like 18 chapters.
Yeah. Especially with this book, we definitely have.
Can you remember a more eventful end of a book than this one that up to where we're at?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Eye of the World, I mean, discovering of Terangrial and the Eye of the World itself and some sandworms and the Forsaken are on the loose. That's as much as we got there.
This isn't Dune.
There were worms in the
there were worms,
yeah.
but I don't know if they were sandworms.
Wasn't that a desert leading up to the mountains they were in? I'm pretty sure
ground
it was.
Worms.
Okay,
yeah.
Ground worms.
Yeah.
They were under the ground.
Yeah.
Well, that's where most
do.
as worms do. Yes.
Yes.
They do what they do.
In Tolkien, they got those cave worms or whatever those things are that bored under the mountains. At the end of the Dragon Reborn, you got the Dragon Reborn fighting in the sky above Tanchico.
No, that's the end of the Great Hunt.
The Great Hunt, thank you. Yes,
he's fighting in the sky. He's right. So that's
the Dragon Reborn is.
That's how that ends. The Dragon Reborn. He's in Tyr, and he's climbing the Stone of Tyr, and he's bringing all the Aiel, and they capture Tyr, and then the Shadow Rising.
They're in the waste for a huge percentage of it.
It ends up.
He fights Asmodean at the end.
He fights Asmodean, and Moiraine defeats one. He's
Moiraine
in the middle
defeats
of
Balal.
So it's Balal, and then who's the one that he goes off chasing?
It's Ashamael. He finally beats Ashamael.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes, he finally beats Ashamael. Thank you. Yeah, that's important. So then we move on to the Shadow Rising, and then at the end of that, he fights Asmodean, and
Lanfear shields him.
Kool-Aid Man reveals himself as the poser Kara Karn, and Lanfear reveals herself. This has a lot more than any of those did at the end.
Yeah.
So let's get into it with our view from Dragonmount. So chapter 49, we begin with To Boanda, which is the place that it's where Galad could afford to send them to. It's about a third of the way to Saladar. So the women get the refugees aboard the River Serpent and pay Nerys after much debate and set sail. While cleaning,
that guy's hysterical.
Yeah, he's a woman hater.
He just won't even look at them.
Yes, he's not a fan of women. He lives,
Elaine puts
even though he has a wife and kids, but
right.
He's away from his wife and kids all year.
In his place.
They discover that he's a smuggler. Ooh. It's not like their best friend Bael Doman wasn't a smuggler.
Right.
I feel like everybody in a boat is smuggling something.
Yeah.
Nynaeve knows Elaine channeled the wind. Oh, this is you, Adam. Sorry, this is one of your things. So talk to us about Nynaeve and Elaine and channeling the wind.
This is not one of my things.
It is.
Do they see all the colors of the wind when they do that?
Nynaeve knows Elaine channeled the wind to help them. Oh, it is one of your things. What do you know? I was right.
One of your what things? What are you talking about?
I sent notes so that this would go smoother, and it apparently is not going smoother.
We're off to another good start. What did you want to say?
Nynaeve knows that Elaine is channeling, and Elaine says to her that she is turning into a frightened rabbit and she needs to pull herself together, which is basically just what has been going on with Nynaeve for the past, I don't know, half of this book.
Yeah.
Well, it's ever since her confrontation with Mogadine.
Egwene.
No, it's her confrontation with Mogadine.
I would say it was crystallized by the confrontation with Mogadine, but I think the confrontation with Egwene has set Nynaeve on the back foot for a while now. Nynaeve complains about Elaine not considering the consequences of Elaine's actions. Okay, Nynaeve. You tell people about how they just go and make decisions without thinking about the consequences. That's fine.
She's really good at doing that as well.
Nynaeve heals the passengers, and Elaine continues to study the Adam. Some big-eared refugee just disappears one night off the boat.
Kills himself.
He killed himself?
Yeah.
He just couldn't take it anymore.
No, well, he figured out he had nothing to live for, apparently, and had no prospects. And that was the point of what was going on after they mentioned that. They talk about the women who are having no prospects. Well, he apparently figured out he had none either, so that was it.
Or maybe somebody gave him a mirror for the first time, and he was like, "These ears!"
No, because then Adam would not have been able to pick him to be his Coplin of the week.
I definitely would have. I didn't even remember this guy with the big ears. Now I'm sad.
Eric is going for his Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
The moment,
which is my most hated of all the Rudolphs.
That moment of Nynaeve confirming Elaine being a princess in front of Brigitte has finally occurred.
Yeah. Which is funny because we were just mentioning that at the end of, the last chapter. And I think that was my Willow, was that she didn't know. Yeah. And then this has happened like 2 weeks in a row where this has happened, where we've been like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden,
there you go.
It pops up right away. Yeah.
Good timing.
But
Brigitte
it's like,
still doesn't really believe it.
Well, she believes it, but she's not apologetic about it at all. She's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of go and talk about it, and Elaine's like all miffed, and I would be too. I'd be like, I am the queen's daughter, you see? And she's like, okay, whatever. I'm just your
She's
warrior.
met so many queen's daughters, it doesn't even matter.
Right. Yeah. I'm in Camp Elaine there with being a little miffed about that.
So then these women use a little poke leaf to wash the black out of their hair, and Brigitte resumes her proper name and attire.
They're back to business.
They dock at Boanda, but Nicola, Merrigan, and Irina stay with Nynaeve.
Nicola, I don't like these women.
Nynaeve bargains a trip for her little group and these women to Saladar. Nerys says Saladar has been abandoned since the White Cloak War in 957, which was 40 years ago. So Saladar has been abandoned for 40 years. Once again, I want to ask, what was Galad doing going there to a town that's been abandoned for 40 years?
He had intel.
That is, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense.
I agree, Dave. He had some sort of intel. I don't
he
know
had
where that
intel
intel's coming from.
He had intel, but not enough to make it to drive him there, even despite of the fact that there's some nut job proclaiming to be the prophet of the Dragon Reborn. Nynaeve reflects back to the first night on the River Serpent when she traveled to Toterand Riod. She stayed a short while, and Egwene did not appear. When Nynaeve returns, she confesses to Elaine she is tired of being afraid.
I'm scared and tired of being scared.
Sick and tired and sick.
She knows she's recognized what's going on with her. Nynaeve's confession helps resolve some of the rift between her and the other women she's been around.
A little bit of between her and Brigitte, that's for sure.
And Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
And Elaine takes them both back to the dream world, and they visit Camelin and the Two Rivers. And in the Two Rivers, the number of houses have increased.
Yeah.
Let them increase and multiply there in the Two Rivers.
And they seem to be doing that.
There's a large three-story home built just outside the town.
I wonder if it's
This
got
is
a
good
thatched
because I was
roof.
wondering what on earth Perrin was up to. I guess he's building houses.
He's building homes.
He's not building it. They
You don't
wouldn't-
think he's getting his hands
No.
in?
He's a blacksmith, not
No,
a
it's not
contractor.
that. It's the town wouldn't let him. You think they're going to let their quote-unquote lord build his own house? Heck
Oh, okay.
no.
All right, gotcha.
Well,
So
we
you
know,
think they had a
we know
barn
someone's
raising?
putting.
Yeah.
We know someone's putting roofs on those.
I was about to
houses.
say, I was asking you, do we have a thatched roof or not?
Probably not on a. Well, I don't know if it's. We don't know whether
Yes,
it's
we
made of
do.
stone or. Okay, we
Well,
do.
I'm honestly going to go with I don't think we do, and I think it's that being the case is that I think what they're showing is going on with the two rivers is that it's upscaling. It's becoming more like an actual town, not a village, and so we're seeing the actual transformation of the buildings.
Yes.
So hopefully, our little
Oh.
annoying Senbui is going to be out of a
Grasshopper?
job.
Well, the real question is how strong is the Thatchers Union in that town? Would they allow that home?
Well,
to
I think
not
it's
have-
just him.
not have
So,
a thatched roof.
Yeah.
Hey, he kind of redeemed himself.
He's going to have to learn a new trade, is what it is.
There's a large
He's going
plant.
to have to learn
That's what it comes down
shingling.
to.
The Shinglers.
He's going to have to
Union.
expand. Yes. Thatching and shingling.
There's a large plinth on the
Bowie
green.
and Sons.
flanked
your
by
local
two
Thatcher and
poles.
Shingler.
I just imagine him on top of the shingles with his burning feet, just tiptoeing around.
I don't know why, but I
Hopscotch.
imagine him as like Wee Willie Winky. I don't know what it is. But
I
like,
couldn't even know what Wee Willie Winky looks like.
He's running.
Senbui.
He's running. Wee Willie Winky is fleet of foot, however.
Yeah, well, it's got to be a Thatcher hopping up on these roofs. I mean, we already discussed he leaps
true.
up there in
That's
a single
true.
bound.
Yeah.
And he just jumps from one roof to the
So
other.
he's no longer jumping over candlesticks. He's jumping onto buildings. He's
Wee
like,
Willie
yeah.
Winky
Oh.
doesn't jump over candlesticks.
That's
little
Jack.
Jack Horner.
Oh, no, he sits in a corner.
Nope, he jumps over candlesticks. That's Jack B. Nimble who
Yes.
jumps over candlesticks.
Yes.
Wee Willie
We
Winky
all
is
had
running
it
through the
wrong.
town. So from
Wait,
the roof,
who's-
you could probably see the large plinth on the green, flanked by two flagpoles. One has a red eagle, and the other one has a red wolf,
Mm-hmm.
or wolf, as some of us
Wolf.
more correctly pronounce it.
Yeah, not a woof.
They
At
visit
what point do you think this news is going to get to more guys?
3 months
books
from now.
I think it already did. It already did.
The fact that there is the red eagle, I think, has gotten back to more gays, not the red wolf. So maybe
Oh.
that plinth is a new development.
It might be. I think she would care less about the wolf than she would care about the red eagle because she knows what that is. The other one, she may be like, yeah, whatever. They like wolves.
They then go and visit the Amerlin's chamber. The number of chairs there is now down to 6. So Elida is still
This
whittling
keeps
away
happening.
at her inner circle.
Yeah.
The triptych of Bonwin is now gone. So Elida has realized she's never going to learn that lesson. So she might as well get rid of those 3 images.
Yeah, that's
I wonder
crazy.
what happened to them.
It appears she probably burned
Lit
them
it
at the
on
stake.
fire. Yeah.
It appears someone has thrown something at the drawing of Rand above Tomon Head. There's a giant gash in the photo.
Cranky Elida. Not getting her way and throwing a tantrum.
Yep, more than likely.
That's what it seems.
Elida has learned of Rand's entry into Kyrie with the Aiel. She's not learned why Niall is recalling those children to Amadisha or where Davram Bashir is. So this mystery of these two actions, which has been going on since the beginning of this book, has still not revealed itself to her, though we know one of the answers. Elida is irritated with the lack of response to the amnesty she's willing to grant those Aes Sedai who have not returned, and then they return back out of the dream. So since admitting her fear, Nynaeve and Elaine have returned to the world of dreams every night. It seems Elida is aware of the gathering in Saladar and has commanded them to submit to her. What is the command that she's issued to these women?
Let my people go?
No.
No.
You can return to me, but,
Oh,
How did she get wind of that?
well, what do you think?
there's got to be a spy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
I'm so
spy
sick of
in
these
their midst.
spies.
There's spies
Everywhere there's a spy.
Here a spy, there a spy.
There are spies.
Ugh.
Amongst us.
The spies hide in every corner, Adam.
Is there a spy between us?
Yes, it's called the internet.
There aren't enough. Right, exactly.
It's called
just meant
Google.
us.
Big tech.
She tells them that they can return, but they'll all be demoted to accept it.
So
Who
let's
she just
run
who
and do
she
that
just
right
had
away.
arrested one of.
Right. One of whom she
I mean,
said,
what does she think they're just going to hop up and down to do that?
Right.
What a dummy.
She's
so full of herself.
It's not the wise way to go. Elida has also received a letter from Queen Tenobia of Saladar and King Isar of Shinar to quit meddling in their affairs. So congratulations, Elida. You've already reduced the White Tower a notch in 2 of the kingdoms here in Westland.
You've ticked them off.
Well, not only that, but she's crumbling this institution.
She probably is not even aware.
Well,
she's too busy building her own tower.
She's
outside.
aware now. The question is, does she accept what's going on, or does she just blame it on these 2 rulers rather than recognizing that her own actions have lowered the esteem of the White Tower?
She probably blames it on
Doubt
Tower
that's
2.
gonna happen.
Right, probably not. She's not. She doesn't do a good job at self-assessing. Have the Borderlanders generally respected the Aes Sedai to this point? Which, by the way, is where these 2 kingdoms are. So
they're in the north, not the west. Yes.
So shouldn't this really be a major sign that she's really screwed up?
Yeah, I mean, but she won't recognize that. She's got blinders.
Oh man, I don't like this woman, even though she's not a dark friend.
I've been saying that for how long?
Nynaeve and Elaine start teaching themselves.
A long time, Dave.
Teaching themselves how to. Well, you originally said she was a dark friend.
I thought she might be. I still don't know that she's not.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
Nynaeve and Elaine have started teaching themselves how to manipulate Toterand Riot, and they seem to be gaining some skills there.
Pay the bills.
Elaine and Nynaeve enter Toterand Riot and meet with Egwene and Amis.
Egwene, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because she launches right into a description of the battle outside of Kyrian before Nynaeve or Egwene can even start speaking.
Right, because she doesn't want them talking.
She calls it, interestingly, she calls it Rand's victory. So I feel like we've been around Rand for so much to this point, and the thing that happened in Tyr seemed to me more of a Dragon Reborn moment than a conquest.
The thing that happened in Tyr. Can you expand that a little more?
Well, Rand grabbing the sword and becoming the ruler of Tyr.
Okay.
So
the Aiel climbing the wall.
Yeah, there were several things that happened.
And then what happens in the Waste seems to be a collaborative effort between Rand and the Aiel. This is the first time where I feel like Rand is a conqueror. Everybody's talking about being his victory, and Egwene calls it his victory, and people are expecting him to sit on the Sun Throne.
Yeah, I didn't even think... See, I'm like in the other camp where I felt like it was a collaborative victory more than Rand's victory because Matt killed Couladin. He had the help of the girls to help rain down the lightning and thunder and storms. I mean... Well,
any leader's victor is going to be a group effort.
Well, right, except for Tyr. Tyr, I felt like, was mostly on him. He led the way, and the Aiel happened to be going there at the same time. They didn't know he was coming in.
They didn't, but they did help conquer the stone. I mean, think about Rand versus the entire stone of Tyr.
Well, he pretty much did that when he rained down lightning and fire through the whole thing with Kalendor.
But yeah, even then there were a bunch of other people fighting too at the same time. Go ahead, Adam.
And Lanfear saved his life.
Yeah, Lanfear helped out there too. Yeah, so it's always going to be a bit of a collaboration. Egwene's mentioning of this as being his victory really crystallized for me. Oh yeah, that's right. He is a conqueror.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for me that was crystallized before when they talked about him getting money. Like, here's money that you are due. What?
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess you really are a king.
Yeah, that was a step. That was a step toward this. This just seemed that was a realization of something that had occurred. This was he defeated a bunch of people, and now people are talking about him being this king of several provinces.
Well, we'll get more of that here in the next chapters when he's in Carian and the ladies being thrown at him and stuff.
So absolutely.
Colavir.
Amis says Rand listens to no one except Moiraine. That's interesting because all this time we'd been talking about Moiraine being an advisor in absentia, and here everybody else is like, including Matt, because remember Matt's like Moiraine is all Rand listens to.
Yeah.
So Moiraine apparently is more effective than the book has been letting on at this point. Otherwise, all these people are just delusional. Rand's been in Kyrian long enough to found a school of craftsmen.
Yeah.
So he really is a conqueror. He's founding schools. He's setting up.
He's not just
public
a conqueror.
works.
Apparently,
this is better than a conqueror.
Yeah, he's apparently a visionary.
Awesome. He's a philosopher king.
Yeah.
He knows what's good for the people.
Amis tells them that
It's good to be the king.
Rand has sent some Aiel south to Tyr. The wise ones have asked Moiraine to ask Rand why he's done this, and Moiraine has just not answered those questions.
She's like, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself.
She's not giving up, those political secrets. Nynaeve tries to take the offensive with Egwene, but Egwene interrupts again and asks her to report the news.
Yeah.
And now for this.
This just in.
Egwene asks if the rebel Aes Sedai will join Rand, and Nynaeve thinks they have no choice. Do we think they have no choice?
If they want to differentiate themselves from Tower 1, then yeah.
Tower 1.
Yeah, I'm calling Saldar Tower 2.
What's the frequency, Kevin?
Yeah. But if they've got Logain, which we know they're going to use as a tool to decide the nations to them. And it's pretty clear that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. He's already pretty much conquered two major things, places. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would want to be associated with them too. Yep. We know Tower 1 wants to. Right. So well, we find that out here shortly. But
the Aes Sedai, though, they just don't like they like thinking that they're the ones that are making decisions. They don't like being forced into making decisions.
And maybe they'll convince themselves to think that way.
maybe they'll do some sort of sophist maneuver.
Well, it'll be like the "you can't fire me, I quit" thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You didn't fire me, I quit.
Yeah.
In my mind before you fired me.
Yeah.
Amis asks Nynaeve why she's appearing as a specter in Tel'aran'rhiod, and Nynaeve shows her the plaque she's using, and then Amis instantly expresses displeasure with anyone who can channel and enter into the world of dreams.
We're counting a lot of people that are very territorial about Tel'aran'rhiod. This is my domain. This is my domain. This is my domain. Yes. I mean, you got the Forsaken claiming it. You got the wise ones.
Yeah, it's a weird world, that pocket.
You just wanted to get that in there.
Larger of the two.
No, I think it's super weird because everyone thinks that they have. I would like to know how much control the wise ones actually have.
None. They can't. No, they have control over their existence within it, but they don't seem to be aware that the Forsaken are using it.
Not just their existence. They control the lane or Egwene, so they've got control over other people's existence in there as well.
Well, as long as they see them.
Well, right.
Yes.
Right, but once again, I don't think it's fair to talk about them not being aware of the Forsaken because that's
true.
That's an unfair comparison.
It's kind of like me being the mayor of Wheaton and trying to control Illinois and being like, this is my territory. This is my state.
Right.
Well, you only know Wheaton.
Right.
Well, yeah, but I know it really well. And anything that happens in here, I'm really in control of.
Well, I guess how much can you control the infinite? Because that's what it seems like this place is.
Well, right. And that's just it. This place is incredibly expansive. So, yeah. It's like me trying to control my city and thinking I'm in control of the whole state. It's crazy.
Now, it seems like they are able to move their city around pretty well, though.
I would like to spend some time in the dream world with Amis when she's not just giving people a dressing down and see what she can actually do in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of which Amis does actually admit that these meetings are more profitable than she initially imagined. So she is recognizing that even though something she was pretty against at the beginning has benefited both parties. They then quickly...
It's kind of a big growth point for this woman.
Yes. Our three accepted then quickly travel to the Mistress of Novice quarters where Egwene gives them a good tongue lashing for almost revealing what she asked them not to.
So is Egwene what Nynaeve once was now?
She's close,
on her way.
Right? She's learned from the best. The wise ones and Nynaeve.
I mean, and I don't want to take her side, but she is also in a difficult spot.
Oh, indeed. She's in between two sticky spots.
Because she's not supposed to be there. So that's her problem. But if she's not there, she can't pass all this Rand information along to Nynaeve and Egwene or Elaine, who are now really going to need this. Yeah. If they are going to be the forerunners of Rand to Tower 2. I'm just going to keep using those.
It's fantastic.
So it is important. It's almost like she really does have now. In the beginning, she didn't have to. Well, she did kind of had to. It's like she had to break that promise in the beginning because she has a greater promise. The greater promise is with Nynaeve and Elaine and Rand. Because the Dragon Reborn promise is going to trump the lesser promise of
Tower 1.
Well, not even Tower 1 of the Wise Ones.
Yeah.
From the get-go, she was screwed.
That's true.
Now, I do not like the way that she's not being honest with the girls about why they can't say what they can say. I mean, she should just come out and be like, yeah, well, here's the deal.
Why doesn't she?
Because she lied about it to begin with. If she had told the truth from the very beginning, she wouldn't have lost any power to Nynaeve.
Why didn't she tell the truth in the very beginning?
Because she didn't want to be subjugated to Nynaeve.
She was trying to keep the moral high ground and be like, I'm the perfect person, right? I'm the one who is doing all the right things, and she's worried about the fact that her disobedience might reflect negatively on her, and it's how she's gained the upper hand with Nynaeve, because she revealed to Nynaeve how she was being hypocritical, and she gained the moral high ground. And if she reveals the fact that she's been doing all of this stuff behind the Wise One's back, all of a sudden she loses that leverage.
Well, I have a feeling at some given point the shoe's going to have to drop.
Come out. Yeah. This lie is eventually going to come out. It almost did.
I'm
just
surprised.
now.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't yet.
I don't know. With the exception of at the very get-go with the girls, she should have just been like, "Here's the deal," but she had no choice but to do this.
I still think that there's some area in here where she could talk to the Wise Ones and explain how important the information that is getting conferred is. And I'm sure they would agree to her communicating that information if they could be there with her.
Oh, right. Because they would have to control the situation. Because once again, the Aiel are for the Aiel.
Sure.
They don't care about the rest of the world.
I'm usually pretty pragmatic, but this whole situation that she's gotten herself into, I think there's another way to do it other than to be duplicitous, because I think that Egwene's character there's always some greater reason for her to disobey. I mean, she can rationalize that every single time.
I don't even think, but we can rationalize it too. I mean, I just did.
Sort of, but once again, my counter to that would simply be there would have been another way to do it for her to hold her promise that she kept. Because don't forget,
I don't know. I just don't know what the Wise Ones.
She did make it's unlike any other agreement that she said. She made a promise to these women, regardless of how ridiculous we think the terms were that they set for her. She made a promise to them, and she could never believe that she was actually going to be able to. She was going to adhere to it.
But I think they're using her just as much as she's using them.
So that's interesting. What do they have? What do you think the Wise Ones have to get out of it?
A stronger link to Rand. A link to the tower.
You think the Wise Ones want to be linked to the tower?
I think they want to be linked to everything because they're going into the other world now. They have to know the tower is going to want to kidnap their people. If they've got someone who's now trained by them, who is an advocate for them in the tower, absolutely. So maybe Egwene can have some sort of say when the tower's like, we're going to train your people.
Wouldn't the easier way to go about doing that to be easier on Egwene rather than more difficult with her?
I think that's just the way they are in general. I don't think it's particularly to Egwene or anybody. That's just their stock and trade.
I don't think that that's the original reason that they brought her over, but I would agree that there's definitely that benefit for them.
Well, I think they brought her over because
it's close to Rand.
Well, I think it's also a territorial thing.
I don't think she's that close to Rand anymore. So if that's what they're looking for,
but that's been happening as Rand's gotten harder and harder. He's pushing everybody away.
Well, she is too, because she's becoming more and more Aes Sedai and less Egwene. I think Egwene is very close to Rand. Aes Sedai Egwene, not so close to Rand.
Well, I don't think you can separate the two out anymore.
Well, I can if I put them on a spectrum. Original Egwene, Aes Sedai Egwene.
Well, right, but
I just don't think that we've had. I don't think we've had those moments with Rand and Egwene.
Well, we haven't, but we have had moments where Rand has thought to himself that Egwene is becoming more Aes Sedai and he doesn't know how much he can trust her anymore. That internal monologue has occurred.
Yeah, right. That internal monologue has occurred, but that's also the infamous Two Rivers stubbornness of built-in prejudice.
But whatever. But I'm not I'm not debating why. I'm simply saying that's what's going on. As she becomes more Aes Sedai, she's distancing herself from him because of that prejudice.
Well, is she distancing herself or is he distancing
whoever.
her?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
But no, I think that does matter.
No, the distance is occurring.
Well, the reason I say it does matter is because of the intent of with the Wise Ones and what I was just saying. If they're having a link to Rand and he's pushing her away, he's defeating why they would want her to be it.
That's my point.
But it's less to do with her and it has more to do with him and his distrust.
The point is, if the reason that they're trying to bind themselves to Egwene is to get to Rand,
one reason,
that's not going to work. It's becoming less and less less and less valuable a link.
She dresses him down, and then she disappears. She throws down her gauntlet, and then she's gone.
Right. And Nynaeve can't hold on to enough anger to keep channeling into the plaque to stay in the dream world. Before waking,
she needs to get that under control.
Before waking, Elaine travels to Elida's study and learns that Elida has issued that warrant for Sheriam's arrest. So it's Sheriam who is to be reduced to the accepted, not everybody in the tower.
Oh,
because she's had a warrant. No. She's had a warrant issued for her arrest by Elida.
Sheriam, the mistress of novices?
Mm-hmm. Who is there in Saladar. She's an important person. And then they arrive at the banks of Saladar. Wow, that happened fast. Remember when I said I thought it was going to be the entire purpose of the next book?
Well, not only that, it was like they were only a third of the way there, then all of a sudden they're there.
Yeah. It's a swift river with Elaine.
They got those. Yeah, they got Elaine's wind.
Using wind behind.
Well, they got off the boat. They don't get off at Saladar. They get off at wherever, and then they're walking to Saladar. Right. All of a sudden, they've walked all 2/3 of the way there.
So no, they haven't arrived at Saladar. They've arrived at the shore, the river's edge of Saladar. Right, well, Saladar's inland.
Now, when they all of a sudden do end up in Saladar, it's super fast. You don't hear about anything in the journey.
Well, they moved from Boanda to the shores of Saladar in a chapter, and I thought it was going to be a book.
But it was a very long chapter.
Chapter 50, To Teach and Learn. Nynaeve, Elaine, Swan, and Lyanna are in the common room of the being questioned by the Aes Sedai.
That's my point. There's no villages in between. There's no bickering. There's no so much we've gotten before.
Yeah, you think there'd be some bickering.
Well, there's bickering to come. The Aes Sedai question why Swan sent the accepted off as Black Aja.
I think our explanation's pretty clear.
It's certainly
they don't seem to like it though.
Well, no, because now they want to imagine that this woman that's in front of them has always been beneath them rather than above them.
And even just I didn't know who I could trust. So I trusted the two people I could trust. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't
want to get into that.
She could have done a better job of logically explaining how she got there. I mean, it is weird. These two brand new people to the tower, they're the ones you're going to send off versus you're telling me that Moiraine was your only friend in the tower and the only other person you could have trusted in the tower. You got voted to the Amerlin seat with only one person that you could trust? Kudos to you.
Well, I don't think that's looking at it quite right. You might have gotten there initially, but all sorts of things have happened in the 20 years since she became the head of the Aes Sedai.
Yeah, you would agree with me, though, that there's a decent enough reason to question that decision. Her logic is...
She would have to give more information to back it up, which... they don't seem to really care about.
But the other thing is this: it's not a democracy. She's the Amerlin seat. Her decisions are
weird checks and balances they think they have.
They're right, but there's the Hall of the Tower. But the Hall of the Tower really we've never seen it get brought in to make a decision. She makes her decisions unilaterally. So the Aes Sedai have learned of Elida's awareness of their location now through Nynaeve and Elaine and the conversations that they've had with Egwene. Nynaeve and Elaine are dismissed without punishment, so good for you, because Swan and Lyanna didn't get off that easily. Faolain comes to have Irina and Nicola tested for the ability to channel.
Faolain, I don't like her either.
So, well, nobody does. She's there to be disliked. Tom, Julian, and Uno offer to abscond with Nynaeve, Elaine to go return to Rand.
Very valiant of them.
Garth Bryn appears to ask Uno with help training the cavalry and Tom to play a game of stones, and since they're not going to be absconding anytime soon, both men agree. As he leaves, he criticizes the way Swan has handled his laundry.
Yeah. My britches are dirty.
As many digs as Garth can get in on Swan's ability to handle his laundry, which, by the way, she's not doing.
Right. It's apparently Min that's not any good at it.
He should get in.
There is a point that Morvran says to Elaine that they need to study the bracelets. if Elaine can actually specifically make one.
Yeah,
so that's kind of a big deal.
I love it. Everyone just doubts everybody else's ability to do something. It's like if one of these Aes Sedai can't do it, they can't possibly believe that anyone else can. But yet they all have different Ajas and they all are recognized to have different powers. So why would that be so weird?
This isn't a matter of having a different power. This is a matter of having so much power that you can do something that they didn't even think was possible any longer.
Well, right. But I mean, we're seeing that happen more and more often.
Well, we're only seeing it happen with these three women.
Yeah, through these three incredibly powerful gals.
We're seeing it happen with Matt and Perrin.
Well, they don't have any exposure to those men, though. All they have is their everyday Aes Sedai lives where not a whole lot. I mean, think about everything that we've seen happen and we've experienced over these 5 books, and think about what the Aes Sedai, your day-to-day Aes Sedai, has actually experienced, which is not much other than the tower splitting.
Well,
which
they've
for
also
many of them
experienced
probably came out of the blue.
more and more men channeling.
Which has been happening over the last 20 years. So
I don't even think the last 20 years. I think it's like the last 3 to 5.
Let's say 5 years, 3 men in 5 years, which is a huge,
There might be more that we know that we don't know about. I don't know.
I think there was a reference in one of the books that there's been 3 men in 5 years, which is really unusual because up to that point it had been
Marillison, and
it had been like one guy every 7 or 8 years.
There's 4.
Toll House,
4 that we know of. Rowling Darksbane, Guira Malison, Logain, and Mazrim.
Other than that, like their lives have maintained a certain amount of normalcy, and now we have this huge split, and now
not so much.
And now these women are in their midst who are claiming to be able to do stuff that hasn't been done since the Age of Legends. Swan demands Nynaeve teach her how to use the Dreaming Ring as well. So there's a lot of demands getting made by the Aes Sedai. Teach me this, teach me that. Oh, by the way, you're still just an accepted.
And meanwhile,
and then Nynaeve.
Yeah.
And then Nynaeve says to Swan to see if she can study her to see if Stilling can be healed.
They do strike a deal. So a deal gets struck so that she can also study Swan, Lyanna, and Logain to try to figure out Stilling. Nynaeve does.
You keep my secrets and I'll keep yours.
A deal is strucken.
Elaine joins Min. Min says that the three women who have joined Nynaeve will be trouble. Min and Elaine discuss their love affair or their lack of a love affair and the fact that Min doesn't know who the third person is, but a good thing they've got their friend Aviendha watching Rand, so she'll keep whoever that extra woman is away, which she actually will do.
Yeah, sure. Not only that, she doesn't know. Min says that she doesn't know if Rand is in love with Elaine. She only knows that he is tied to her somehow.
Well, Elaine comes to her and asks, hey, did you know that I was the person that was, one of the 3 people that was going to be in love with Rand? And she said, no, I didn't know that.
She says specifically she doesn't know if he's in love with her.
Well, none of them do.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of a big deal. You would just assume, I just assumed, hey, yeah, Rand is in love with her.
Well,
maybe
her vision wasn't that Rand was going to love these women. Her vision was that there are going to be 3 women that Rand is going to be involved with and that are going to be interested in him. So she's communicating
that's on me for viewing the vision the wrong way.
I mean, Elaine had this question. She was trying to figure it out too because she knew she had this vision. She just wasn't sure how far it extended. But there's no doubt for us as the reader, right, that these 3 women are going to find themselves entangled.
Well, now there's doubt for me that Rand is actually going to be in love with Elaine. I don't know.
There's no doubt for me. I'm moving forward with the assumption that Rand is confused and will have to figure out what he's going to do.
I'm just saying we got a lot of books left.
Chapter 51. News comes to Cairhien. Rand is now a pipe smoker.
What?
It's at 2 Rivers Tabak.
The beginning of the scene. Rand is smoking a pipe. I
thought he had smoked one before.
Rand has smoked a pipe here and there, but now I feel like it's a regular part of his habit. He's also engaged in a conversation with Solanda. He finally acknowledges that the weather is unnatural, and he thinks Samael can have something to do with it. Solanda is trying to seduce Rand. Rand's next move is to attack Samael and Ilian after his buildup in Tyr is complete. Rand performs a bit of madness and talking of the power to Solanda and scares her away. Another mention of Niall's recall of the Children of the Light is here. What is Niall doing? We constantly get these references of him recalling all these children, and then we get this reference from Galad. We get this mention of Galad was supposed to go to... Is he having them all, like, fan out across Saldea or Amadisia? What is going on with Pedron? What have we seen?
I don't know. Just in order to maybe go out on the offensive with everyone together.
You think he's mounting some huge battle on his borders?
I have no idea what else it would be.
It's a giant risk move. There seems to be a conversation that he's trying to take over territory on the other side of the Eldar, which is the easternmost border of Amadisia. That's the only thing that I can think of, is that he's trying to take over those border towns and expand, but I doubt it's that. We know Niall. He's got far grander visions than that. It's something we've got to keep an eye on because it's been mentioned over and over and over in these books.
Yeah, it just pops up here and there.
It seems Rand has sent the majority of the Aiel off to Tyr, leaving Rourke and Bale there as the only people that he trusts. Bearlane is on her way to Cairhien and is inquiring after Perrin. Is Perrin there?
Yeah, but the glory. Think of the glory, Perrin.
That's not
I know,
Bearlane.
but I want to say this voice. I mean, she probably has a voice very similar.
She wishes she does.
I think Bearlane's doing all right.
Not if she's in love with Perrin, she's not.
Well, no, but I mean,
who can you blame her? He's got the,
I'm
the
getting
burly
Bearlane
shoulders.
confused with the one that said that she would have Perrin.
Oh,
No, that was her, wasn't it?
That was Bear. Yes, you're not getting her confused with anyone except herself. Yeah,
I don't.
She's got a thing for Perrin all of a sudden because Rand scared her out of his chambers.
It's not a thing. It's a scary thing she has for Perrin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not love. It's some sort of weird "I can't have you, I want you" thing.
Oh, now I'm concerned for Fael.
Well, don't worry because she's headed toward Cairhien, which is a good ways away from
Yeah,
the
it's
two
not.
rivers.
It's not.
Yeah.
She has no idea where Perrin is, and I don't think Rand's going to tell her. Rand meets.
Not that Rand knows what's going on with Perrin.
Rand meets with his
No, he absolutely doesn't.
Rand meets with his Cairhienin and Tyrant council and is ordering more troops to Tyr. So there is a big war front that is being created in Tyr, which apparently not a lot of people know about or can figure out. Those who do know can't figure out why, but we know. Rand has realized it's been Colavir who has been sending those women after him.
The dames.
And so he invites her to dinner in an attempt to stop this behavior.
But completely forgets about it.
Moiraine, Egwene, and Aviendha then enter. Egwene has recently had an argument with Rand over where and how she learned about what is happening in Saladar in the Tower. Once again, more distancing from she'll only reveal
name
so
names.
much to him. Moiraine gives Rand a letter from the Amyrlin saying Aes Sedai are coming to take him into the Tower.
That's so freaky.
Good news, Rand. We're here to save you and take you to the Tower.
Right. And Rand's like, yeah, I bet there's 13 of you and no thank you.
Right. Yes. And then he gets this weird letter from Alviarin, who is stupid enough to expect him to keep this letter secret.
Hello, Rand.
She must also be planning to leave soon, as news of this letter is surely going to get back to Elida at some point.
I don't know how it would, but I mean, there's a chance of it.
Rand just read it in front of a bunch of people.
Well, 2. But yeah.
And there's no way that she can believe that he's going to be like, oh, yeah, okay. Moiraine, bad. Alviarin, good.
Well, Alviarin's not dumb.
No, I agree, which is why I think that there's got to be a dual purpose to this letter.
Yeah.
But Rand does mention that should Moiraine have been behaving as she had behaved in the first or second book prior to her oath to him, that he might have suspected her, as the letter from Alviarin suggests. So maybe he's just farther out in front of this than Alviarin is.
Yeah.
Matt enters in response to Rand's summons. It seems Matt's battalion has named itself the Band of the Red Hand. And many young men are joining up with the Band of the Red Hand. That sounds like a jug band name. It seems that Matt has been pushing back the Andorrans along the Cairhienin border.
He's just skirmishing.
More impressive, Matt.
Rand wonders, is there anything left of me but necessity? This is a fair question of Rand to ask for himself, because it sure doesn't really seem that way, does it?
I love this scene between Rand and Matt here.
Yeah, I mean, Rand is using Matt very pragmatically at this point. This moment didn't bother me nearly so much as the moment when Rand sent him away and was like, yeah, you go off and leave Kyrie, and sure, go ahead, with full knowledge that there was no way that was going to happen and that he had use for him and that he wasn't going anywhere.
Well, the point you're talking about, Rand was just trusting to the pull of Toterand. But that's not like Rand has insider knowledge that he's not sharing. He just knows that.
No, but he knew he was not going anywhere.
Well, he was trusting to something that he had an inkling in, but had no way of actually knowing
or controlling. Sure,
right.
but he let Matt go in a way that was like, sure, Matt, yeah, go. You're free. Do what you want.
He was.
Well, no, he isn't. He's Toterand.
He's free from Rand.
He's as free as Rand is.
Well, but that's the thing. Matt wants to be free from Rand. Matt's ignoring the bigger problem that he can't be free from who he and what he is. So Rand,
that's a good point.
Rand indeed is saying, okay, I've given you your freedom from me. I don't have any hold on you from what I need from you right now.
Well, which we also just learned is not true.
Well, no, it's true now. It wasn't true then.
I think it was true then. He knew.
I don't think it was.
In the nature of Toterand and knew that he wouldn't be able to go anywhere.
So you don't think Rand's honest?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think that Rand is on it.
See, I do. I think
so.
I think
And once again, I don't think it's dishonest to say, sure, leave, because he did let him go. So he was honest in letting him leave, whether or not knowing that if I'm in a giant castle and we're in a room in the middle of it, and you're like, I'm sick of being in this castle. I want to get out. You're holding me here. Stop holding me here inside this castle. And I go, all right, yeah, you're free to leave. Knowing that there aren't any doors to leave the castle.
Yeah, but
have I been dishonest with you?
Well, Rand specifically thought to himself, I hope you go enjoy yourself for a bit, Matt.
Yeah,
because
you're eliminating individual responsibility on Matt there is what you're doing by that whole argument you just
Toterand eliminates eliminates responsibility.
No, I'm talking about your little castle reference there.
It's an analogy.
No, but you're eliminating the individual responsibility of Matt being able to say, there are no exits from this room. You're putting the blame on Rand instead of putting the blame on Matt for recognizing there's no doors.
What we're talking about is whether or not Rand was manipulating Matt and knew that Matt couldn't go anywhere.
And he wasn't. He was not manipulating Matt.
If I know that something is manipulating you,
then you should know that too. It's not. This is not on Matt.
It is. It is on. It's not whether it's on Matt or it is. It's still on Rand. It can be on Matt. That's fine. But it's also on Rand to be honest and be like, Matt, I can tell you that you can leave right now. But the fact of the matter is that your Toterand nature is not going to allow you.
Why is that responsibility Rand's?
Because he knows it, and Matt doesn't. Matt doesn't know it.
No, Matt chooses to ignore it. Now, yes, he does. He absolutely and willfully chooses to ignore who and what he is and the responsibility that comes with it, because that's Matt's character.
I don't think it's willful. No, I disagree. I don't think it's willful. I think
we see it. It absolutely is willful because we see it right here.
Because of what Rand says to him later, which is shut up and listen, you have to stop running, which is exactly
that's fine.
what...
You can put the onus on the ignorant or on the willfully ignorant. I put the onus on the knowledgeable.
But that's where your logic fails, Eric. Because Matt is choosing to be ignorant. He is making an individual choice of responsibility to choose to be ignorant.
And he can choose.
It's not willful. It's not the way you're portraying it.
Whether it's willful or not, if I know the situation and I see that you're being foolish, I have a choice. I can be like, all right, you be a fool, and whether you die or not from it, not my problem. I'll wash my hands of it, or I can go, look, this is the way that I see the situation.
Once again, you're limiting individual responsibility, and you're putting the blame on somebody else.
That's right. You choose to put the blame on somebody else. I choose to take at least the onus upon myself.
I choose to take individual responsibility for the person's individual actions.
The individual can still be responsible, and the smarter person or the more wise individual can still be on the outlook for that person and at least inform them. And then if they go off and make their decision, that's their responsibility. But at least the wiser individual can be comfortable in the fact that they fully informed that person.
And then they made their choice.
Yeah, Eric. What you're ignoring is, I understand what you're saying, but what you're ignoring is that Rand feels that he wishes he could get away for a little bit, and I think he said that to Matt a while ago when Matt was in the tent with when Lan was there, and he was like laying out all the battle plans, and then Rand comes in and he's standing in the tent. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm not keeping you here.
All I'm saying
is
you can
go do your own thing."
What I'm saying is that you guys think that Rand actually thought that Matt was going to get away, and that what he was doing was being kind to Matt and letting Matt
had a chance to get away.
Matt had no chance to get away.
I don't think Matt had a chance to get away.
Matt had no chance to get away, and Rand knew it. Rand is aware of Taviran nature and the way that it works.
So why is Perrin able to get away?
I don't know.
That's why he brought up. That's
a different thing.
Like,
no, it isn't a different thing.
Yes, it is.
It's exactly the same thing.
No, it's not. It's not. It's somehow, for some reason, it's not the same thing. I don't know why.
If Perrin is able to get away, and Rand is the one that sent Perrin away and gave him the choice to go do his thing, to go rescue his family, Matt therefore has the same chance. So you cannot, with any logic, say that Matt did not have a chance to return, because that doesn't hold water.
So why didn't Matt get away?
Because in this particular instance, it happened to work. It's not a blanket statement of all Taviran can't get away.
So you think Matt could have gotten away?
Yeah, but I think Matt all of a sudden saw a responsibility situation where he accepted responsibility.
I think Rand thought Matt could have gotten away for a little bit.
I don't think he can get away forever.
I thought that's what he was saying to him. You can go away for a little bit. You're going to come back to me.
I'll go back.
I'm going to give you this freedom because I gave this freedom to Perrin, and Perrin.
We're going around in circles now. It's in the segment where Matt talks to Rand, and after Matt walks away, Rand has a moment to himself where he's comfortable with him leaving because they know he can't go.
Or Matt and Rand have this conversation where, like Adam said, Rand's like, you have to stop running.
Matt announces Morghese is dead. And Gabriel has been raised king, and the story then totally pivots.
So how long has it been? Once again, it's the infamous question of how long has it been since Morghese has disappeared, and it's taken that news that time to get over into Caria, and Perrin or Matt somehow gets it.
I mean, maybe a couple of months. He gets it because he's fighting the Andorrans on the border.
So that's where he got the information from. I think it's maybe been a month, but it's taken for however long we don't know. We don't know how long it's taken Morghese to get out to.
It's really, really hard to say. Rand announces he intends to go after Ravine now instead of Samael. He takes Moiraine's advice to wait a day and then dismisses.
Wait a second, though. But he
Matt.
says he's gonna rip Ravine's heart out. So he's gonna go get there. And this is what David's been bringing up for a long time now. That all of a sudden Rand's like, oh no, I'm just gonna portal my way on over there.
Right.
Yeah, he's using the skimming thing.
Either way.
Why didn't he just?
We're talking about an assassination versus a war. It's a little easier to do an assassination by yourself than conduct a war by yourself.
This is a very, very large assassination.
This is a large.
We'll get there.
The assassination.
It's a fair point. So before they leave, Rand, Moiraine, Egwene, and Aviendha argue over who can come with Rand when he faces Ravine. Rand tells Matt he can't leave, and Rand is going to use his Matt's battle knowledge. Matt returns to his rooms after a long argument with Rand, where he seemed to be forced to agree to take over the Tyrant army in Tyr.
Yeah.
Melindra appears, and after a brief conversation about his leaving, tries to assassinate Matt. And
for all her skills, she didn't see that knife coming real fast.
And then the chapter ends with Matt still unsure if he will follow the agreement he's made with Rand.
That'd be a bad choice.
We know he can't.
Chapter 52, choices. It's the next morning.
Everybody's got choices.
It's the next morning, and Rand prepares to travel with his group to Cairhien. Aviendha is there as well and mentions that Colavir appeared the other night, and she escorted Colavir to her room to beat her.
Yeah. The whole tower heard it, apparently.
So Matt's announcement that Morghese is dead really threw off Rand's whole evening, and he forgot about Colavir.
Oops. Aviendha sure didn't.
Aviendha made Colavir promise to obey Rand or she would be beaten and worse. Asmodean enters and asks to go with Rand despite the plans that were given to him the night before. Rand senses that Asmodean can channel no better now than he could when Lanfear first trapped him, and Rand wonders whether Lanfear has deceived him regarding to the shield's impermanency. He's not sure if this is his thought, though, or Theron's. And now he's having trouble deciphering the two, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Rand agrees that Asmodean can go with him. And Rand thinks of taking Kalendor or that statue Sangreal that's in Rhuidean, but he decides he can't risk losing control of them.
Go with the fat little man. So I want to see this fat little man.
Uses the little Buddha figure.
Yeah, the little fat man.
They exit the room, and he sees Matt, who tells him the story of Melindra, and they notice that the maidens are missing.
Yeah.
Ominous. Matt tells Rand he'll join him in the invasion at Camelin. And then Moiraine and Egwene appear. Moiraine hands Rand a letter for himself and one from Tom. She says to Rand, one for Tom, thank you. Yeah. Key distinction. She says to Rand she hopes he has changed enough.
Like the most ominous phrase of that whole situation there and that whole conversation is, you will do well.
Right.
What do you mean? What? Like, not I am doing well, or you have done, but you will do. Future tense. Foreboding there.
Moiraine tells Rand there is something for him to see at the docks. The scene shifts to Kadir on the quay. Moiraine has had him uncover the red door the night before. It seems that all Kadir's dark friend drivers have left him, so he's all by himself in his dark friendery.
Not for long.
We learn the name of the guy who was my Willow, who fell halfway through the red door. His name is Herod, and he was never the same after that moment, as I suspected.
How could you be?
He was one of the first to abandon Kadir's coterie.
Kadir's coterie.
Was he? Was he a dark friend?
The finest.
Or was he just a guy?
He was the dark friend.
Huh.
Do we know that?
I don't know.
Well, Kadir is thinking about all of the people that have left him and how he's the only dark friend left, and this is one of the mentions. So it seems to be evidence of.
Well,
some
and he's
of the
also
other dark
thinking
friends that have
about. He's
abandoned
also like walking. He's also walking by people, and they're looking at him. He's like, oh.
Kadir notices that the maidens are missing. And then Lanfear appears as Kylie.
What has she been doing?
She steps into his wagon and reveals who she really is.
I'm so confused. What she's been doing.
Well, she's been Lanfear's
been doing?
Yeah.
Lanfear's been meeting in Toterand.
Yeah, and planning.
Out and about.
Don't forget, there's this whole plot to lure Rand to one of the Forsaken that she's been part of.
So she's just been meeting with these, but she's been gone for a while.
Yeah, but she's one of the people that when she's gone, we know she's just hovering over the story, watching it unfold.
I just think it's strange that her entire focus has been Rand at this point, and now she's saying she's been too busy to watch Rand. It's just...
Well, that's probably a bit of a lie.
And she trusts this guy?
She doesn't. Well, I mean, sort of.
Obviously not, but...
Yeah. She asks him what's been going on, and it appears she doesn't really like what she hears.
No.
So then the scene shifts back to Moiraine, who's leading the party to the end of the merchant train opposite Kadir, and the side of Kadir's wagon explodes. Kablam, Chico.
Yeah. He told me it was there.
And Lanfear exits, discarding the flayed corpse of Kadir. Ugh.
So much for Kadir.
Scene. She's just holding onto like a
flayed corpse there, which is probably rather large.
It's like a Hellraiser moment.
Absolutely.
She screams that she knows Rand has let another woman touch him. Uh-oh.
Yeah, those beans that Kadir spilled did not turn into a magic tree.
Yeah. He should have not led with that.
No.
So Moiraine charges at Lanfear and is passed by Lan, who slams into an invisible wall. Lanfear throws Moiraine under a wagon with the power. She burns Aiel, and Rand traps all of that flame into a bubble concoction of Theron's. Lanfear tortures Egwene and Aviendha, trying to figure out which one of them is the one who's touched Rand. Rand cuts those flows. Lanfear shouts that Rand belongs to her. Rand says he will never belong to Lanfear, and then Theron seems to take over. Lews Theron seems to take over.
Again.
Rand is fighting with Luce Theron and then fights with Lanfear. Eventually, she starts attacking his link to the One Power, and then Luce Theron keeps trying to tell him how to defeat Lanfear, but Rand is afraid to let Luce Theron in because he thinks he might lose control of himself and he might not leave. So now Rand's inability to kill a woman becomes a huge problem for him.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of a problem.
Moiraine pulls herself from under the wagon and sees Rand on his knees being tortured and laughing madly. Moiraine sees Lanfear using an ongriel she's left by the red door the night before. She charges at Lanfear and tackles her through the red door.
Gandalf! Fly, you fools.
Oh, I would have thought you had gone with Sirius Black there, Adam.
The reason I'm going with Gandalf is, are we going to see either of these two again? Because I'm thinking we're going to. I mean, where are they going?
They're going to the Fox world, the world that Matt went to where he talked to the Fox people. Chapter 53, Fading Words. Rand watches Moiraine take Lanfear through the red door to Terangriel. Rand traps Lan in air. The wagons ignite and the doorway melts, emitting an acrid smoke that stings the skin. Rand funnels the smoke away, and then Lan says, she's gone. I can't feel her presence.
Feel her presence.
Rand rushes to Egwene, who is near death.
She says, I hurt.
Yes.
Oh, so sad.
Mullane tells Rand Egwene can't go with him to Caemlyn.
She weak.
Aviendha says she can, and that she has Toterand. Aviendha asks what happened, and Rand...
I've got Toterand.
Exactly. It's a new disease. It's another one of these pharmacological terms here in the Wheel of Time.
I thought I was doing well, and then the doc told me I got Toterand.
Toterand.
Aviendha asks what happened, and Rand tells her that Moiraine and Lanfear are dead. So there's that. Rand asks Lan to stay, but Lan tells him of the passing of his bond and gives him
his torch has been passed.
A bogus message to pass to Nynaeve in hopes of severing their relationship.
Hey, let's not say bogus. He's trying to be a good guy here.
He is.
Yep. It's
the delivery's not going to go over well.
It's a misplaced nobility, but sure.
He's like, tell her I've gone to be some green woman's puppet.
He should have just said, I'm wedded to death.
That's fine. Like, you can keep your grandiose notions of your nobility to yourself, but don't put him on Rand too, because he goes one step further and infects Rand with this.
Well, if there's one thing Lan is good for, is passing stuff on to Rand.
It's infecting Rand. Yeah. Rand enters.
There is a darkness, pain, death. They radiate from us.
Rand enters the Dockmaster's hut and opens Moiraine's letter to him.
And apparently, when Aviendha comes in, he's crying.
But he says, I'm not.
It's like, what are you talking? Well, he didn't realize that he was. He was in denial of something he didn't realize was actually happening.
So do you think he was weeping as him or as Luce Theron?
I think as him, because Luce Theron would be weeping for what's-her-face.
Ilyenna.
I know.
Ilyenna, my love.
Sulin then enters and starts breaking her spears in front of Rand, saying he's abandoned the maidens. Rand traps Sulin in air, and she convinces him to talk to her, and then she convinces him to take some maidens with him against Ravine.
Hey, well, I mean, this was a big deal. She was snapping spears. She snapped two spears.
Which is different than snapping necks.
And Rand asks what happens when you snap the third spear, and there's a suggestion of...
suicide.
Seppuku. Yeah, thank you.
Good old Harry Carey.
Yes.
I don't know if she's disemboweling herself, but... Please. She's going to kill herself.
Would you eat it?
Rand talks to Matt, who is in better spirits than Rand, and Matt says, it's time to roll the dice.
Yeah, and apparently I have realized...
You've been saying that phrase wrong?
I added a T, Sigane, at the end, which is not supposed to be
That's
there.
That's all right. We had a C in our name for so long, so you'll be excused.
Yeah.
Chapter 54, To Caemlyn.
Why are you so happy? Because I am alive.
Because I'm alive.
It's totally Matt. It's great.
It is totally Matt. Chapter 54, To Caemlyn.
That's true.
Rand and 500 maidens return to the palace where Bael waits with men from every society. Rand thinks back to a conversation he's overheard between Aviendha and the Wise Ones. He hears them discussing Aviendha's mission failure. Amis is about to reveal that she knows what Aviendha's mission was, and she thinks she was a little bit successful, but she gets cut off.
Right.
There are 6,000 Aiel there.
Yeah.
Rand makes the gateway.
No small assassination troop. Yeah.
He can only make it 4 paces wide, so this would be why he couldn't lead a whole bunch of Aiel on an assassination.
But he did still anyhow.
I mean, there were how many Shaido did we discuss?
I mean,
there
this
were
is not an assassination. This is a war.
10,000.
You're taking hostile troops into a other area. This is a war. This is
He
the
wanted it
definition
to
of
be an
war.
assassination, and now it is a war.
Yeah. It's an invasion for sure. It's not just an assassination. Rand.
Yeah, because that's what Rand wanted to be at first. He just wanted to go in on his own.
Right.
And have it be an assassination.
Interestingly, Asmodean mentions here that gateways have little to do with the power, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But we learn why that is a little later on, so we'll get to that. Rand makes a large platform for his army to travel on. Asmodean is impressed by the size of the platform.
So yeah, as of yet, they still can't do the real travel thing, which Avienda did.
Yeah. They load up the platform and travel.
And someone falls off.
There's always that one guy.
It's that infamous Star Trek.
Even though Rand told them, stand back.
Yep.
Stand back from the edges. But you
knew
the minute you saw that Star Trek guy, he was going to die. Because you'd never seen him before.
I love the explanation of it. Hopefully you go
oh my gosh,
before you starve.
I sat and probably thought about that for like 20 minutes.
Oh, it's horrifying.
I'm sorry for you.
I just kept dwelling on it. Like I kept thinking about this poor person. And what would it be first? Would you be driven crazy? Would you suffocate? Would you,
No, you'd starve to death. You'd starve to death.
Well, no, I think you could probably scare yourself to death.
You might go crazy before that. Yes.
I don't know about
It's more likely that you'd have a heart attack before.
Yeah.
These people are as tough as nails.
They are.
True.
I was thinking just in general, like if a person.
Oh, yeah, you would have a heart attack.
Oh, yeah,
you could have a heart attack and die.
You would have a heart attack.
Rand takes them to the wall that he initially climbed up when he first met
Or maybe he still hung onto his spears and he could have killed himself. That would probably been preferable.
Aiel starts spreading out over the area, and then the wall topples over,
so crazy
and Trollocs and Myrddraal appear, and the lightning starts crashing down from the sky.
That's so crazy to me that Rand was like, I know where to go. Oh, let's go back to this sweet spot of when I first met Moiraine.
Right, well, that's the place he knew
there
to
are no
travel
guards
well
there.
to. Well, apparently there are.
Well, right. We learn why a little later. Rand weaves a shield that takes up half the city to block the incoming lightning. Seeing Mat and Avienda laying on the ground because the very first lightning strikes right at Rand and he blocks it, but it doesn't block. He's not able to protect those in his immediate vicinity.
Mat's on the ground without his boots.
They're all dead.
Asmodean
is just a pile of
they're all charred rubbish.
Rand screams at Ravine. Trollocs approach Rand, and he ignites them in flame just before severing them with a gate to Ravine's chambers, which Ravine is not expecting. And he's not sure how he created that gate.
So now he's all of a sudden created a gateway.
Right. Which he's seen, but he didn't know how to do. And now he's done it.
He's done it. But then do we see any instances of him doing it ever again? After
in these next couple of chapters?
Yeah.
Not really.
So when they go back to Carian, we don't know how they get back there either. Does he skim or does he use a gateway? We don't know.
No.
So at this point, he's done this once and we don't know if he knows how to do it ever again.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of Rand's MO, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm just hoping he discovered. I'm hoping he discovered it because that would be huge.
Yes. Yeah. It reduces the size of the continent.
It could have solved many problems.
Right. Well, we've already discovered that Rand doesn't want to use that to solve these problems.
The scene bounces back to Nynaeve teaching Swan how Teleron Riot works. She and Elaine have been...
There's so many events that are taking place in this.
Oh my gosh, so much is going
back
on.
And forth. It's crazy.
She and Elaine have been teaching the Aes Sedai about the world of dreams for a few days. Faolain has been raised to something other than accepted, but not quite Aes Sedai.
She's a tweener.
Yeah. Theodrin has been working with Nynaeve to help her move past her block. Nynaeve mentions to Swan that she is aware Swan has been spanked by Bryn, and then they get into a fight.
They're scuffling.
You know what? As an adult, don't bring up to another one of your friends that they've been spanked. It's not a good beginning to a conversation.
I mean, it's the band of the red hand.
I think it's a great beginning.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, the band of the red hand.
Well, I think you should just fictitiously bring it up to some of your friends. Hey, I know so-and-so spanked you the other day.
Nynaeve seems to think she's this really great brawler, and she really isn't. She keeps getting her
clearly
clock
not.
cleaned.
Yes. She's diminutive.
Only if she's angry.
She's feisty, but not big.
Yeah.
I still am interested in this experiment where Rand is going to start mentioning spankings that his friends have occurred that are not in play with their paramours.
Yeah.
Nynaeve thinks she's been
Could have happened as a child.
seen Moghedien in a window, and so she snatches Swan's terangrial from her and flees to Jureen.
Yes.
And while contemplating the predicament of facing Moghedien in the dream world and barely able to channel because of the terangrial she's
Guess
using,
what? She does.
Moghedien appears. Moghedien is sending weaves lazily toward Nynaeve when Birgitte appears with her bow trained on the Forsaken. Moghedien grabs Birgitte with air, then turns her into a child, and Nynaeve slowly crawls towards Moghedien, begging not to be hurt.
This is such a great scene.
When close enough with the Forsaken, exulting in her success, Nynaeve uses Toterand to place an Adam on Moghedien's neck. Nynaeve commands Moghedien to let go of Birgitte to restore Birgitte, and she does. Moghedien informs Nynaeve of the plot of the other Forsaken to lure Rand to Samael. She then reveals that Rand's planned attack on Ravine is also known, and that due to his trust,
wicked surprise.
Due to Ravine's distrust of Lanfear, he set wards around Camelin and will be aware of Rand whenever he enters the territory.
The joint.
And then Birgitte awakens and disappears, and Nynaeve and Moghedien travel to Camelin.
When Birgitte awoke, she said that was the most frightening thing that has ever happened to me. That she was this baby, but there was this awareness in her head of who she actually was. That's so creepy.
Well, I wonder if it's the thing I can compare it to most is like the Jordan Peele movie, Get Out.
Oh, Get Out, yeah.
Where he's looking through the thing, and it's like...
That's I love that.
That's exactly what it is.
Also, isn't it kind of like what's going on with Rand and Lews Therin? But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Chapter 55, The Threads Burn. Rand battles Ravine, and a self-pity that kind of makes me sick. Ravine tries to turn Rand into Therin, and Ravine tries to turn Rand into Lews Therin. Well, Rand figures out what Ravine tried to do to him, and that he must have sight lines, and throws lightning at every window and balcony near him. We then follow Nynaeve, who has Moghedien telling her both men are there in the flesh and therefore can channel far more power than these two women can. Moghedien and Nynaeve bicker over what Nynaeve wants to do. Nynaeve has a brief fit and punishes Moghedien severely, but gains her compliance. Moghedien's cowardice here is a nice counterpoint to Nynaeve, who has been questioning her bravery for like half of this book. So finally, she has somebody to compare herself to that's like, oh. And I mean, even in these chapters, you've got Birgitte who's telling her, you are incredibly brave. And she is.
Yeah.
She absolutely is. Back to Rand chasing after Ravine. Ravine lures Rand into a trap and tries to transmogrify him into a beast.
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff going on.
Nynaeve has been chasing Ravine for some time, and she finally alights on him as he is transforming Rand. Did
you feel good when you wrote down that word alights?
I think he probably felt better about transmogrification.
Well, that's the word. I was thinking of what's the word for this, and it's transmogrify. That's it. There is no other word.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm picturing Calvin in his little box.
Right. That's where I first learned of the word.
Yep.
She sets him ablaze, and he turns on her a burned mess.
A melted face.
Rand is suddenly freed from his change and sees flames burst from a balcony.
Flames.
Ravine appears a ruined mess in a towering inferno. Rand throws an enormous, powerful bar of balefire at him, and he disappears.
Poof.
Rand heads back up the balcony and sees Nynaeve for the first time in a while.
You know what I imagine?
And he seems to have changed to her.
You know how they talk about that purple hue thing that appears? I imagine it's that scene in Bedknobs and Broomsticks where the guy turns into the rabbit and you see that poofy thing happen
it's
around
a burn-in. Well, right. It's a burn-in image with glitter effects.
Yeah.
I do not remember this. I wish I did.
Oh, I probably watch Bedknobs and Broomsticks at least once a month.
Old Murder, She Wrote.
Nynaeve eliminates the leash in the Adam so that Rand can't see it and heals Rand. She then tells him to leave. Rand then tells Nynaeve to inform Elaine he's found someone else and gives her
familiar.
the message from Lan.
And by the way, Lan said the same thing.
Right.
So
wouldn't someone intelligent be like, that's the same message to two different people?
Yeah. Right. This message sounds like a carbon copy.
Yeah.
This sounds like a form letter.
No,
I don't believe you wrote this at all.
Big, strong men. Just get over us.
I'm not buying that for $1.
Mogedion says Rand is very dangerous. Oh,
yeah.
Good observation.
Well,
Nynaeve
this is the first time that she's encountered him.
A remarkable man, a very dangerous man.
Right. Maybe she was more impressed. Maybe dangerous was supposed to be an impressive term rather than a term of warning. Nynaeve gives Mogedion Forkroot to take her out of the dream world and then reveals to her that she has concluded that she is in Saladar and she'll see her later.
I shall see you soon,
I don't
wench.
get that's such a stupid move.
Remember when we said that those 3 friends of Nynaeve's were dangerous?
Oh, you think it's one of them?
I do.
I don't.
Why?
Because that's too obvious. That's too obvious for Jordan.
All right. Well, I mean, Brigitta's warned her, or Min has warned her that one of her friends was dangerous.
Ninja said those...
Adam doesn't like them, and somebody there in Saladar is Mogedion.
Yeah, there's a lot of somebodies there.
But do you think that Mogedion was in Saladar waiting for Nynaeve to show up?
No, I think she was just happened to be there.
How? What? She's chasing
Nynaeve.
What if
Mogedion is Min?
Well, we realize that Mogedion, from what we know, has also been in Tower number 1. So why wouldn't she therefore be in Tower number 2? She's here, there, and everywhere.
Right, but we know that the most pressing mission on her mind is following.
You're saying she somehow.
Well, remember, she was in.
She had to make her way to find the menagerie.
Remember, she did. She found the menagerie. She was in Jara. Remember, she was in Jara. That's how she ran into Nynaeve and Brigitta the first time. Is she was in Jara.
Wait, not in the real world.
Well,
in the dream world.
She was there in the dream world, right? So it's possible that she's been tracking Nynaeve through the dream world and not had to be near her physically, but now she's found herself there. How would she have known?
So then she can't be one of those 3.
Why not?
Because of what you just said.
No. It's still possible that I'm saying it is possible she was tracking them through the dream world. It's also possible she was tracking her physically.
Right, but they met those 3 on random chance.
Was it random chance?
Well, my stance is yes, because I don't think she's one of these 3. But
right, that's fine. You've got plenty of reasons to believe that. The 2 things that I would cite in my favor are those women have been identified as dangerous.
Could be for any number of reasons.
Yes, it could be for other reasons. And she is clearly there. And now she's trapped there via Forkroot.
We'll find her.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out the answer to this. But we won't find it out until
not in this book.
Anyhow, no, my point was this is a bad choice. Why not, if you have her under, try to destroy her?
Kill her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Despite her remonstrances, I don't think that Nynaeve is a killer.
I don't think she could have. Yeah,
she's clearly not. As far as Rand is also not a woman killer. So
yes, exactly.
I'm going to make a differentiation.
She's not a man.
I'm going to say that Nynaeve could do it
if she was really, really ticked off and lost control of
Rand
her anger.
Cannot do it.
Rand has more self-control than Nynaeve does. That's really what that comes down to.
Well, if you want to put it down as self-control, I'm putting it down as a weakness. But
me too.
You could call it weakness, but it is part of their
I think
moral
it's more a stigma.
It's part of both of their moral fiber. It's just that in a moment of emotional lack of control, I could see Nynaeve doing something that wasn't part of her character. Rand has more control.
I think Nynaeve's just more pragmatic and realizes that you got to do what you got to do.
Well, I would agree with Adam. What you got to do right here is kill Mogedion.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
That's under your foot.
Yeah, a Forsaken. The moral imperative is with you there.
I don't know. I think
if you have Hitler,
it's like killing Hitler,
right? If you have Hitler under your gun, you don't go. You kill Hitler.
Does she? Well, I don't. Not only that, I don't think she could.
Well, that's what we're saying.
No. I don't mean.
Oh, you
I mean,
don't think she actually?
You don't think she
physically
actually
physically can't because she
Well,
doesn't have enough of the power to be able to do that.
We're not arguing whether she can or not. We're arguing whether she should attempt it.
Oh well, right, but I don't think it would succeed.
Well, but that's not the argument.
Man, I feel like
That's all right. I think she absolutely should here, but she doesn't. And I don't think she can. I don't think it, unless she was really angry and out of control, because she was in a fight with her before and clearly was trying to do something to her. But here she's a little bit.
she should have been angry. That's all I'll say.
Rand returns to the palace and discovers that killing Ravine with balefire has brought back Avienda, Matt, and Asmodean.
Are we going to get into Rand as to how far the effect of that possibly goes? So the question is, how far back of what he's done has this unraveled?
Not that far, because it said it had cheated death for his friends, but not for everyone.
Right.
So
Well, everyone else could have died at the spears of Trollocs, not at the lightning.
But those Trollocs were there because of Ravine.
Oh, but
Right, but it wasn't the effective. What Rand has done is undone the effect of the channeling. What I'm saying is, okay, so it was the channeling, but those steps for the Trollocs were way before that. So there was probably something else that's happened in between that. Right. So I wonder what else. Where's the trickle down effect? Where did it stop?
yeah, that is a good question.
And maybe we'll never know. But it's just kind of weird because we know that the stronger it is, the further back it goes.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why Rand, after when he was using balefire and other points, was just using small little laser like.
Right. I'm just wondering if there's something more that's happened that we don't know about that we might find out about.
Right. I would if it doesn't happen here, I got to imagine that
we
there
never will.
Be. Well, no, I got to imagine that at some point in the future he's going to use balefire and it's going to be a problem.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Which is what I thought you were saying is like is there some buried issue that
no,
he's created
I meant
for
is there something else that's lingering out that we don't know about?
Right.
Yeah.
Some buried issue that will rear its head at some point. I would
imagine that balefire is gonna.
That would be an
since
exciting.
It's been mentioned that it's gonna take too much.
Chapter 55 does end with an interesting quotation that I wanted to bring up. Rand is told, "Take what you can have, rejoice in what you can save, and do not mourn your losses too much." That's great advice for Rand moving forward because he seems to be developing a really hard time with the losses that he's compiling.
Yeah.
Chapter 56, Glowing Embers. Rand sits looking at the group that he has resurrected. Rand goes to the throne room. Davram Bashir, remember him? He's been talked about throughout this book. Usually,
this is such a weird way to end this book. This is such a weird way.
Dad.
I guess you're just setting up the next book. He does,
it's absolutely what he's doing.
Such a strange way,
especially with what he's talking about. Who do you think we're going to see in the next book?
He says
Davram Bashir.
Who else do you think we're going to see in the next book? Who's Davram Bashir and Rand talking about?
Oh, right, Fail. So we'll probably see Fail and
far more important. Mazrim Taim. He's talking about I want Taim, and Rand's like, no, he's mine. I'm creating amnesty.
Right. He wants to track down Mazrim Taim.
Where are you getting Fail from?
Because that's her dad.
Her last name is Bashir.
Well, okay. Wow.
She said before that her dad's the general of Saldaea.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's the marshal general.
I'm just putting these things together right now.
Well, that's what we're here for.
This is a great revelatory moment, Adam.
But he was already mentioned in this book.
He's been mentioned a number of times in this book because Elida keeps trying to figure out where he is and what he's been doing because
this never came up to. Oh my gosh! Yes, obviously that's a.
The light bulb has gone on for Adam.
That's all right. Yeah, I mentioned it. I mentioned it during our podcast in the last book, and David wasn't sure if we had even discussed that he was her dad, which we hadn't. Right. I was just drawing conclusions because of the last name. But Elida has had notifications that he was originally heading south from Saldaea, and then he disappeared. And the reason is because he's been heading south looking for Rand, apparently. And
he's been looking for Taim.
Okay, he's been looking for who he thought was in Andor, somewhere in Andor, which is a huge territory.
It's not small, no.
Rand tells him he's proclaiming an amnesty for all men who can channel, including Taim.
That's huge. So this goes back to everything that I've been saying, all these books up until this point that you were kind of poo-pooing the idea of men who can channel, that there's got to be more of them out there. Rand apparently seems to think there's a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
Does he?
Absolutely. You think he's gonna have an amnesty for 2 people? No. There's gotta be a bunch of these people.
Couldn't it just be a moral statement that I am not a pariah and I refuse to acknowledge any of these other men, whether there are 1 or 4 of them, as pariahs to this society?
I don't think you'd care about that few.
Dave,
amount.
you think that? You think Rand is aware? You think Rand is specifically?
I think
aware
Rand
that there are
suspects
other men?
exactly what I suspect. That if I'm here, there's got to be more like me, but they're not going to say anything because everyone hates us.
So
Yeah, I agree with that, but you're not saying that Rand is aware that there are more.
Oh no, I'm not saying he has some preternatural ability to be able to sense them.
once again,
definitely.
men who can channel have a horrible end. It would be like living in a society where people were constantly self-immolating and just saying you weren't aware that it was going on.
I think there's plenty of that situation that happens around the world where these men are channeling and doing things that are that, and no one knows what it is. And I think there's probably a lot of that goes on. And I think Rand is probably thinking the same thing.
It's interesting though, because he does literally couch it in the argument of, this is what I am. You're going to accept me, quotation marks.
As much
You
as
know,
they do.
why should I allow anybody else who's like me to not be accepted? It does seem to be he at least presents it, which is wise, as a moral argument.
It is, but once again, he also
And
presents
Rand-
it as
Rand
we're
is a
going to
high
need these
character
people.
guy.
The Dreadlords.
Right, he presents it as he's using it.
The attack with the Dreadlords.
Yeah.
And if there are these people out there, I need them.
It is not 100% altruistic, or he knows he needs them as a weapon. It's like the Aiel are his spear. So if the Aiel are his spear, maybe they're his sword. The point of all this is I believe there's more of these people out there.
Yeah.
I don't think we can pin it down to a
Me too.
particular age range because we don't know enough. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say that I would not be surprised if there's quite a few of these people out there.
Right. So Davram Bashir appears. Rand tells him he's proclaiming an amnesty. Bashir offers 9,000 Saldaean cavalry to follow Rand. Rand seems
And these are
to
apparently,
accept
from
that.
what I
Hiding in the woods.
as far as we know, aren't they like the best horsemen?
Does that matter?
Well, yeah, because that would be like you're getting actually like 20,000.
Whether or not it's the best Saldaeans, it's an elite group of cavalry for
That's
sure.
more what I was referring to, yeah.
Absolutely. Asmodean leaves the place of his brief death to go to the pantry and see someone he knows who kills him.
Yes, goodbye, Asmodean. It's nice knowing you.
So is that Lanfear?
No, she's dead.
she's
Would be
gone.
Lanfear. Who the heck is this?
We don't know. Another Forsaken, I guess.
Morghese, who we have not seen since chapter 19, has discovered Bryn gone from Core Springs.
Like I had completely forgotten. Where she was or what she was doing.
Yeah. This is also clearly a setup for the next the next book.
Yeah.
She and her group have traveled the full length of Andor and more and find themselves near the border of Amadisha. And that is the end of the book.
It's like time for another good idea, bad
It's the
idea
same-
where she's going.
They ended this book. They ended this conversation
Tower
with
Train
how,
Queen?
how we last saw them. That it was Talonvere, and don't beware of him because it's not like he might be a handsome guy, but
Morghese.
Don't do that.
He's
Morghese.
saying her name like Lanfear, or says the glory, but think of the glory, Rand. Morghese. He's soppy. Gaze.
All right, Dave, what
Sapi.
shook your willow?
So my Willow moment was Matt dies,
Yeah.
and as we
In a
recall,
smoldering ember.
when he went and visited the
A little Matt s'more.
yes, tasty tidbit for the Trollocs,
Yeah,
perhaps.
with
That's
some
about it.
delicious shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
Back in the day in Ruidion, when he went through the Twisted Stone Ungreal, one of the things they told him was to die and to live again.
Mm-hmm.
We had all, and I say we all,
Yeah,
all
sure.
three of us in this room, and probably many
Definitely.
listeners, had thought that was when he was hanging from his neck on the tree.
Yeah.
Wrong-o.
Did he not die then?
Because he didn't die there.
He did not die
was-
there.
He almost strangled, but he didn't.
Yeah. He was just strangling.
Right.
He wasn't officially croaked, kicked the bucket like he was here. I mean, there's not
He
many
died.
things. Right. What I'm saying is there's not many things left now on that list of things he has yet to do.
Except Daughter of the Nine Moons.
Daughter of the Nine Moons, who
he keeps asking
we
about.
now know who, we don't know who it is, but we know what that is.
We know it's related to the Sean
It's
Chan.
related to
and
the
the
Sean
Court of the
Chan,
Nine
which
Moons.
makes my stomach sick just to think about Matt
we know
being...
who it's not.
Well, we know. Yes, we know who it's not. Everybody on this continent, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's also not Melindra for that matter.
Right.
It took me like a few seconds for it to click. I'm like, oh, he's dead. What the? And then he was alive, and I was like, why does this sound so familiar? And that's what it was. It was because it was the fulfilled prophecy. Or not prophecy, but I guess I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, it's a prophecy.
Yeah, that was my Willow moment.
But it doesn't really even get addressed. Like you see him dead, and then there's a flash forward to Rand being there, and he's not. And Rand is thinking about the fact that all these people were dead. But it's elided over so fast that if you don't think about it, it's easy to miss.
Yeah, and I don't even know why it popped into my head. Just something in the back of my head was ticking, going, you know what? Why is this familiar? Then I was like, when I was thinking about that, I'm like, okay, so he died, and then he came back. Has anything changed? His memories still seem to be there. Like nothing altered there.
Because what happened?
So it's like it never happened.
It never happened. Right. Yeah, it didn't happen. All right. Adam, so this ties into yours?
Oh, yeah. Mine is Matt as well. What really this comes down to is I feel like we had a discussion a couple weeks ago about the fact that Matt had killed a woman before.
Yeah, and I think we were wrong.
We were wrong, apparently.
We were wrong.
It was Rand. It was Rand who killed that woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized that afterwards. After that, Matt's like, it's the first time I've killed a woman. I was like,
we all realized it at that moment.
Cake.
Right, yeah.
We totally screwed our listeners.
We were
sorry, listeners.
Factually incorrect.
We were not fact-checked on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have a moderator fact-checking us.
Correctly or incorrectly.
So,
by the way, that's my responsibility.
Oh, well.
We were wrong about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
just a bit outside.
I'm confused about Melindra in general. Clearly,
hey,
she's
Adam, remember when you asked if Aiel could be dark friends?
Yeah. Better yet.
I do remember that.
I'll one-up you on that.
Well, no.
One.
I originally asked if they could be Forsaken.
Yes.
And
then we spun it off into the dark friends.
Which they could not be. But yeah, they can be dark friends. But I'm confused about her because... So she's probably the one that wrote the letter to
That's
Kabir,
where I was
right?
going to go with it. Well,
yeah,
potentially, unless there's other dark friends among them.
Unless this person that killed Asmodean is the individual who wrote the letter.
Right, or...
Very well could be.
Or just another dark friend.
Sure, but I mean, you know, the way that stories work, it's going to be somebody we know. So yeah, I would say it's probably Melindra.
So I'm confused
that was my conclusion.
About why she decides to attack him now.
Oh, I personally believe that's obvious. I don't mean to say that insultingly. I mean, to me, it's clear because it happens because he mentions he's going to go to Samael. He's going to go lead the army from Tyr to Samael, and she's got the dagger from Samael.
He says he's going to Ravine.
No. He specifically says that Rand is sending him to
Tyr.
To Tyr.
Right.
To lead the armies there against Ilion. She is employed.
Does he? He doesn't tell her.
He does. He says he talks about Ilion, and he is employed. She is employed clearly by the dagger for Ilion.
Well, let's get into that. We've been commenting on this whole for Samael and the Golden Bees thing, and there's just all of these. Remember, we do know from the prologue that the Forsaken are trying to lure Rand to them.
Only this isn't Rand. This is Matt.
Right, but Matt is connected to Rand, so if you're trying to lure Rand there, killing Matt with a dagger that has the golden bees on it and Samael would be another good way to do it.
Yeah, that's a big roll of the dice, to assume that she's going to be able to kill Matt because she does this on a whim. She does it on a whim because of what she found out. I think it's less.
But she's been waiting for the moment to kill him, right?
There's true. I don't know.
I think that was my original.
Yeah, and that is the question.
Why has she waited? And I just imagine it's because Matt is really charming, I suppose, and she was enjoying it.
I think she really likes Matt.
Yeah, did. Yep.
She might also have killed somebody else close to Rand. It might not necessarily have been Matt. It could have been Moraine. It could have been Avienda. It could be Egwene. It could be anybody, or it could be nobody. She could just have that dagger because
I think she was just a loosey-goosey dark friend.
I don't know. I 100% agree that was the way my brain was thinking too. Was this dagger a plant to try to to kill somebody with it, so then Rand would react? But in this situation, it's just hard to say. And not only that, she's reacting to what she was told, and she decides, okay, I'm gonna have to kill him because he's too powerful to go down there, because she's recognizing he's killed Couladin. He's led all these sorties against all these other people. He's a key cog. I don't even think this was about, let's have Rand go after. This is just, I need to strike now. I need to kill this guy. He's too important. And it wasn't, he's too important, so I need Rand to react. It's just, he's too important. He has to die.
She's known as importance. This isn't.
He keeps becoming more and more and more important.
Because he's only recently killed Couladin.
Yeah, it's not been that long.
Right. So it's possible that discovery has
upped the stakes,
has created this moment.
Yeah.
But she has the dagger. I don't think she has the dagger to kill anyone else. She's been talking to Matt all along about him being this pillar of success and needing to step outside of Rand's shadow. So there's no confusion for her as to how dangerous or how important Matt is.
That's a theme amongst Dark Friends and
trying to elevate
Forsaken.
and inflate people's egos. Sure.
Or not just that, but wanting to potentially influence them or sway them to the dark side, perhaps.
Right. Okay. So it's possible that she's been trying to steer him toward corruption for a while, and it hasn't worked. And this is a last resort, is she can't do that anymore. Look, she sought out Matt. Matt didn't stumble into her. He was there. He was there at the fountain watching.
Oh, you think she sought him out?
Yes.
I think she was just there.
No, my belief is that this is intentional, that she's been there to keep an eye on him and probably assassinate him at some point.
You have no evidence to back that up, but that's just your supposition.
Other than the fact that she didn't just run into him.
Well, she did, literally.
No, she didn't. She just
happened to be there.
Well, he didn't.
From all we know, all the evidence were presented, she was there. He was there.
Except we know she tried to kill him. So one.
Well, right, but you're taking why she tried to kill him differently than.
Well, I'm just reverse engineering the situation. Somebody tried to kill you, then that for me would bring into question all of the events that led up to it. And we know that Matt didn't bump into her. She quote unquote bumped into him. So it's very possible.
It's possible
that she sought him out.
Wait, so Eric,
but the problem is with that the whole problem with that logic is that he wasn't important back then.
That's not true. He was known Toterand.
Right.
That's pretty important.
But he wasn't like he is now. Not even close.
No, and that's
he didn't have the general's memories then.
I think if I were an Aes Sedai and I knew somebody was Toterand is Toterand.
I mean, we know he was sought by the Forsaken.
Right. I mean, we had an entire tea party where those three boys were the center of it.
Right.
I think she's part of this plot to lure Rand to Ilion. So she's one.
Well, that didn't work.
She's part of that cadre.
Eric, you think that using the dagger, that specific dagger, is trying to make a statement?
He thinks it's a plant.
Okay. I just figured she just had the dagger because it was like, hey, this is the part of the group I am part of.
That could be too.
Honestly, it doesn't matter who gave her the dagger because Samael is involved in the plot to lure Rand to him.
But it does matter, and I'll tell you why it does matter. Because if Lanfear is a rogue agent and she gave the dagger to him, she wants Rand to go attack Samael.
But they all want Rand to go attack Samael.
I mean, she wants him because she wants him dead. Because we all know they infight and plot against each other. So who gave her that dagger actually really would matter.
But they all want Rand to attack Samael.
But there's a difference between wanting to actually have it succeed and wanting to lure him into a trap.
Well, that's just a difference in the belief of the strength of Rand. Or if you plant the dagger with the idea of Rand attacking Samael, or you plant the dagger with Rand attacking Samael with the belief that he can kill him, the difference is you think Rand is strong enough to kill him, whereas the other Forsaken are plotting with the belief that Rand isn't strong enough to kill them behind Samael.
Well, yeah, but I think that's an important distinction.
It's an important distinction, but at the surface, it's the same thing. It's you want Rand to go after Samael. So my Willow of the week was Elaine's shock with Min that she's interested in Rand.
Oh. Yeah.
Min reveals to Elaine that she's interested in Rand, and and Elaine is like, what? And Min's response is, yes, me.
Why wouldn't I be?
Do you think I can't fall in love too?
Yeah. That's great.
So just as ticked off as Elaine was that Brigitte couldn't see her as being the daughter heir, Min is that Elaine can't see her as being in love with a man.
On top of that, they couldn't figure out what looked different about Min.
Well, Elaine finally figures it out. She sees the fact that her clothing is a little more
She sees it dressed up, but I think she's got it wrong.
At first, though. They couldn't at first, and it's like, oh my gosh, can you not see what's in front of your eyes? You just never paid attention to this woman.
So are we saying that the reason that her dress is different is because she's trying to attract Rand? That doesn't work. She hasn't seen Rand. That's not why she's dressed up that way.
Why is she dressed up that way then?
She had to do that.
She kind of likes it now.
Well, she likes now because she had to do it in the tower.
She's not in the tower anymore.
That's where it started.
No, she's not. She's not traveling around anymore, so she's not wearing those pants.
What she said, but what Elaine is thinking is, well, that's why she's dressed that way, dressing up like a girl for Rand. That's her whole logic with that. But that's not what it actually is.
No, it's not.
No, Rand's not around. Rand hasn't seen her. No.
Okay. So the reason is?
It goes back to the tower. She was forced to do it, and then like Adam said, she likes it.
Well, I think she's also...
she likes it.
I think she's also still
keeps doing it
under the towers.
And she's learning from what's-her-face.
And why is she doing that?
That's kind of a bit of a sexist statement, and the fact that she's only going to be doing it just to attract a man as opposed to...
She's constantly had these conversations with herself that she's making these changes in herself in order to, when she runs into Rand, gain his attention.
Okay, but you don't...
And she's frustrated by that.
You don't think she also enjoys it as well?
No, she doesn't. I don't think she does.
That's it. Okay.
I just figured that she enjoyed how
more gays.
She's enjoying how she's looking.
I think it's probably both, is what I actually think. I think she's enjoying it, and I think there absolutely is an element of maybe Rand will like this.
She's absolutely thought that what she's wearing would be something that might attract Rand's attention more than the breeches that she's using.
Which is funny because I bet now when Rand sees, I really hope when Rand sees her now, he's not going to be like...
He's going to be like, what are you wearing?
Yes. That would be a great turn.
That would be the best response.
But that was great. I thought that was really, really funny.
It is funny.
So let's return to the salad days of Tower 2. There they are in Saladar. All of are accepted now, except Egwene, who is in Cairhien. So
there's so much to discuss here.
So let's start with...
I don't even know where to start.
With Min and Elaine and Rand. Elaine finally reveals to Min that she's in love with Rand, and Min is like, oh, I am too. And they have this several paragraph conversation, and then at the end of it, they're fine.
Elaine, before this point, knows about her vision. Does she know about Min's vision?
Yeah, she did. Okay. She apparently did.
She apparently does. So most likely she's been thinking about this for some time. Most likely she's been thinking about this a lot for some time. That she knows Min's visions come true. Mm-hmm. And Min's envisioned that Rand's going to be shared with 3 different women, or two different women. I don't know if she knows how many, because...
she does.
Well, I don't know, because Min at this point says there's going to be another.
They discussed 3. They discussed 3 a couple of times.
Did they? Because when she mentions about the third person not knowing, Min or Elaine seems a little surprised in this section.
That they don't know.
You think she's surprised that they don't know who it is, as opposed to the fact that there is a third?
Yeah, I don't think. Okay. I think she's...
But regardless, she's had to think about this probably for some time. So I don't think it's quite as abrupt as you just mentioned it, and she's just all of a sudden just fine with it. I don't think there is a all of a sudden. I think all of a sudden's been happening ever since she's known that. Ever since she's known she fell in love with Rand, she's been going through the back of her mind, yeah, but I'm going to have to share him. And there's nothing I can do about it. If I want this guy, I have to share him. So I don't think it's that sudden. I think it's, okay, if I want this guy, these are the rules. And I've known these rules for some time. And this is the point of either, fish or cut bait. But I can see how they accept it because it goes to want. And she has that fantastic line where she says, and I don't have the exact wording, but she says, and I think it was Min that said it, I'll take Rand any way I can get him.
What I think is strange is how quickly it gets resolved. That's the only strange thing I find here.
Which has happened with them at the beginning of these conversations when Elaine first heard about this stuff with Min.
She was like, I'm totally cool with these things.
It got quickly resolved then when Min first discussed with Elaine that there were going to be 3 women involved in Rand's life. They were both just like, okay, fine, whatever. Let's just be best friends now.
And you're talking this was just recently, just now?
No, he's talking about
before.
No, I'm saying that
Vision.
happened in the original Vision happened in book 2?
Okay.
They were fine with it. Got resolved right away because it didn't have any consequences.
Right.
Yeah, and at that
this is how he presents. This is how Robert Jordan presents his relationship.
At that point, though, it did have consequences for Min because Min already knew at that point. So
it's not Min that I
but
have.
They just moved on with their relationship like it was no big deal.
They did.
This is how these girls do these things. There
was the real interesting part will be Avienda.
There was a bit of a fit put up, but I feel like
that'll be the less interesting part.
Oh, for me, it'll be the most interesting because she's the most feisty.
She's the one who actually lives in an Aiel culture.
Right, but that's accepting amongst the Aiel. These women are not Aiel.
That's what I'm talking.
And not only that.
Well, no,
but that's her near sister.
I mean, Avienda has already seemed to move past this. By the way, she's been like, yeah, we've been together, and now I'm good with it.
She's going to be betraying Elaine. I don't know how good she is.
No, I honestly feel like Avienda at this point is fooling herself into believing, this is that I was going to sleep with Rand, and now that that's over with, then I'm done with it. That's what it seems. That's how she seems to be dealing with it right now.
Oh, you think she's just?
I don't think
herself?
That's true. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Were Nynaeve and Elaine received by the Aes Sedai in the manner you expected?
They certainly didn't expect it that way.
Well, right.
I love
your
the fact
expectations,
that, I love the fact that it was just brought up beforehand. How do you think they're gonna receive us?
Oh,
sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that ends the chapter.
Is this what you expected as a reader?
Yes.
Probably.
Definitely. Other than it seems they gave him more freedoms. They gave him more freedoms than
I think they should have gotten more credit for what they did. But I think in regards to the way these Aes Sedai are, I guess it's not surprising.
Hell no. Sorry.
The girls are thinking like you would think, like we as readers would think. You'd be like, what the heck? Dude, they did all this crazy stuff. And yeah, you're getting on Swan's case about, casting just these teenage accepted or novices out to the wild. You just throw them out to the wild to go chase after dark friends. But guess what? Hey, it kind of worked. And not only did it kind of work, it kind of worked really well. And it worked better than anyone expected. And these two are, pardon my French, but they're badasses. So.
Yeah, but we've seen this before.
But we're not going to recognize any of that. And because that's who they are. Before. That's what they do. You're right. We've seen this before.
Yeah, they accepted him as ice. I was surprised that it wasn't any more harsh than it was.
I think it's just, it ticks me off because I feel like the girls. I'd be like, what the crap nuggets is this? Like, come on. But that is who they are. And I don't understand why do the Aes Sedai do that? Like, what do they think they're teaching here by doing that? Because most of the time it's some sort of teaching lesson or it's
they're teaching you to be, originally what they're doing is teaching you to be hard and teaching you to be able to deal with everything. And
how many of those Aes Sedai could have done what they did? I don't know.
Not many, I agree, but I'm just remembering the fact that they have gone back to the tower before and they had accomplished a whole lot.
Yep.
And they got put to even worse tasks.
They got poo-pooed. Than they were. Yeah.
And now I feel like
in that situation when they went back to the tower, though,
a little bit in the fact that they're like, okay, you did actually go out and you did do some things, and we can actually learn from that. And so now they're talking to Elaine about making the IDOM.
Well, the difference in when they went back to Tower 1 as opposed to Tower 2 is Tower 1, they had to be punished the way they did because Swan couldn't let the world know what they were doing. She specifically had to punish them so that no one suspected who they were. They couldn't have any accolades put on them because then the tower would know they were out seeking Dark Friends and that Dark Friends were in the tower and, the Black Aja actually exists.
Yeah, but I would imagine if they weren't anything other than they are, that they would have gotten kicked out for doing what they did.
You think that they're being favorably treated because of how powerful they can be?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess they could have been harsher.
Sure. I mean, their potential, I think, is acknowledged, is known by the Aes Sedai that are there. So it's possible that they were given favorable treatment because of that. At the same time, they were just doing what they were told by an authority.
I think they
didn't really have a choice.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I mean, they
followed the code.
They were doing what they were told.
Right.
Well, we're going far back. Anyhow,
but they did. They followed their orders.
I was honestly, to answer your question, Eric, I was surprised by how "quote unquote" favorable their response was.
I didn't think it was favorable at all, but I think it's in line with everything we've seen thus far. It still just makes me angry.
I mean, they're not cleaning anything. They're not doing any dishes. I think they were being received.
Elaine is now strong enough to do things without thinking that some Aes Sedai can't do it all.
Yeah.
I just think they're being received as more than accepted.
Oh, they got thrown right back into their accepted training.
I think they're accepted. I mean, Fowlane is the one who's
of all
more
people,
than accepted,
she's the one that's
but not quite Aes Sedai. Speaking of which, I mean, she can't get raised to Aes Sedai because they don't have the Oath Rod there.
Well, they also don't have an Amerlin.
Right, they're
the Oath Rod. That's a very big deal.
They're still disorganized. But
is there only one Oath Rod?
Yeah, as far as we know,
hey, maybe Elaine can make another one.
The Oath Rod, right? What is all of this leading to? Because these Aes Sedai are not going to be able to use the power against the other Aes Sedai in the tower. They're not dark friends. We've agreed that Elida is probably not a dark friend. So they are useless other than being able to organize and run food to men or whoever you want to have in your army.
They're going to have the armies are going to have to duke it out.
This is just going to be a regular ground war.
Yeah. I mean,
as opposed to the last war on the tower that we know of, which is when Hawkwing brought an entire army to the tower, where if they had been attacked, those women would have been allowed to defend themselves because they would have been attacked by non-Aes Sedai.
Would they?
Yes,
if
because
their lives are in jeopardy.
Right. Yeah. Because the Oath Rod allows you, if your life is in peril, you can defend yourself with the power.
Right. You can't be the first
one.
But
if it's if it's two groups of Aes Sedai, then whoever attacks first is actually in a less powerful situation because the other group can counterattack with channeling.
Right. So that's why they're just going to leave it to the men.
But that means that the men that first attack are going to get channeled on because those people are under attack.
Those men aren't going to attack the Aes Sedai. They're going to attack the soldiers.
So they're going to have to they're going to have to make sure they're not attacking anyone who's Aes Sedai.
Pretty much, I guess.
This is an interesting schism.
I think they're hoping that they get the overwhelming force and force the other person to do it before it ever actually comes to fighting, but that's what it may actually have to come down to.
All right, what else do we have on Elaine, Nynaeve, or
Well, there's that. I think there's the interesting moment that Nynaeve observes Swan and Leanne and their subterfuge, and she picks up on that.
I mean,
and she uses that as blackmail.
Right, she uses it as leverage. We know that Swan and Lyanna are working with each other and are deliberately presenting a different front to the rest of the Aes Sedai.
Now, did we actually know that from when they
talked to each other about it?
When was that specifically said? Because last we knew when we left them.
It was when they initially got into when they initially entered Selin.
They said something about it being planned, but we never saw the acrimony like it was this strong.
Right.
So the whole point rather was just the fact that she picks up on that and she uses that against her, which gets her ability to study this. Because Nynaeve seems to think she's going to be able to heal Swan or Leanne and maybe Logain, though she doesn't want to.
Well, that's all based on her
anything can be healed mentality.
Right. I think that Nynaeve experiences with Mogadeen.
Yes,
she experiences the fact that Mogadeen is telling her that there are Forsaken that are in there that are in this dream world in the flesh.
It's Rand. It's
Rand and Ravine coming in the
flesh. No, it's Rand and Ravine, and she's
Yeah.
so scared because that they're going to be killed by this. So this goes back to Lord Luke and the fact that you're able. It's just the fact that there are these people that are traveling around in the dream world in the flesh. and that they're more powerful. Mogadine was terrified of these people being there.
She seems to be terrified of a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have the feeling.
What is that?
I have the feeling she's probably done that herself because she seems to know a lot about it.
Ravin is apparently, he's not as powerful as Moghedien or Lanfear, but Rand is probably more powerful than he is. And if you're in there in the flesh versus just
I think
entering,
he's. Oh wait, you're saying
Rand,
that he's not.
Rand,
Ravin, you said you don't think he's more powerful than
Moghedien or Lanfear.
Oh no, he almost was equally as powerful as Rand. The only reason Rand was able to overpower him was because he had the Fat Man Angreal. So Ravin is more powerful than those.
Rand
two.
hasn't reached his full power either. So okay, I mean,
sure,
so I'm not saying that
David
Rand is as powerful
point,
as Lanfear or Moghedien. By the way, I don't know that he has reached that level of power yet. I think he's going to exceed it at some point.
I think he has, but the fact is that
he has to have. He has to have because he's more powerful.
Lanfear.
Right, and not only that, he's more powerful than Nynaeve by a considerable amount, and Nynaeve was more powerful than Moghedien. So by proxy, he has to be more powerful than Moghedien, at least. I don't know about Lanfear, but Moghedien for sure.
So all I'm saying is Moghedien, what we know is she doesn't like direct confrontation. There were two people that were in a position to be able to channel more power simply because they were there physically versus being there spiritually.
So do we know that when they're there in person they can channel more?
Yes.
Or are they just more?
Moghedien says that expressly.
Okay, I thought she just said
that's why she's afraid.
She says Nynaeve isn't angry enough to be able to deal with it.
So if even if she was angry enough, it wouldn't matter because she wasn't there as fully because she's channeling into that weird little thing to make herself there.
Yes, yeah.
What a brilliant idea on Nynaeve's part to think of the Idom and to trap her that way.
Yep.
That's crazy. Like she knows she's beat, she's terrified, and she totally fools her with this. I mean, that's just
redeems herself.
I was going to say that, but I didn't. That's amazing. Like, kudos to you, Nynaeve, for being able to think this up. Do we have any instance of even knowing that would work in the dream world?
I don't know because we don't know that much about Idoms in general. Well, I mean, we know a little bit.
We don't need to know about. We know enough to know that they're a Terangreal and that they are a link.
Right. So, would we have any reason to think that an Angreal would work in the dream world?
So Adam is asking the question about the Angreal. We know enough, and Nynaeve knows enough about how the Angreal work to expect that if she can make it to work in the dream world, that it will work the way that she anticipates.
So it's all just because I'm imagining it's real, it is real, and because it's real, you're going to succumb to the laws of what's real in my mind.
So the bigger question is, can she actually make it work in the dream world the way that it works in the physical world? And this is what we've been learning by the interactions with the wise ones, is that yes,
and apparently
those things can happen if you have strong enough control, which is why it's been so important that Nynaeve and Egwene have been working on their control in the dream world leading up to this point. That's why those
that's true.
Scenes
that
of them.
A very good point. That's why those were taking place.
Yes,
that they were in.
Yes. The other interesting thing though is that Nynaeve uses Moghedien's desire to subjugate and make things grovel to herself against her. She crawls at her deliberately.
Oh yeah, because she knows that's what she wants.
Weakness in order to get close enough to her to slap the bracelet and the collar on her, which is very, very clever on her part. All right. Let's get Randy here. So Egwene thinks sometimes she sees another man looking out of Rand's eyes. We get a lot through these 8 chapters of the fact that the Rand, Althor, Luz, Theron balance is constantly tipping more toward the Luz, Theron direction.
Yeah, I think that's really. I think what's really fascinating though is that Eric, you brought this up originally when it was Brigitte, and the fact that she said that was super scary because she was a baby and she was physically that baby, but there was part of her mind in the back that was just herself that was trying to break through.
We got 2 different things living inside Rand.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's something Eric was talking about before, is that he doesn't want to lose Rand, and it just seems more and more like we're going to just lose Rand, and he's going to become more Luz Theron.
I don't know that what we're seeing happening to Rand is Lews Therin. I don't think it is. I think we've got Lews Therin, who is what he is, and then we've got Rand and what he's becoming. And I think Rand is becoming something different, but it's not attached to Lews Therin.
But we've addressed what Rand is becoming and the changes in Rand's personality. That's not what we're talking about.
Well,
now.
that's what Adam was talking about in losing Rand.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what he's what I think what Adam is mentioning is what I was talking about, which is the fact that we're getting more and more of Rand recognizing that things that he's doing are Lews Therin, and recognizing moments where
I don't agree
Lews
with that.
Therin is doing stuff, and we even had a battle. I mean, Rand is starting more and more to fight for maintaining control of his own consciousness versus moments where he's recognizing Lews Therin is doing stuff.
I don't think I vehemently disagree with any personality and change in Rand right now having to do with
No,
Lews
we're not
Therin.
talking. I'm not talking about if I take when you say personality change to mean that Rand is starting to behave differently within Rand's own consciousness, then that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more and more instances where the
Lews Therin's butting his head up.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's happening with greater frequency.
Yes. I don't think that is
more a mention of Elenia.
Yes, right.
Yes.
We get direct references to that. We
that's
have
all he seems to talk about.
We have the whole battle with Asmodean, where Asmodean is. No, I'm not talking about when he's trying to change him into the beast, but there's a moment when he's trying to change him into a person, another person, and Rand thinks that that's Lews Therin, and that happens. We're just getting more and more of these Lews Therin moments, and if that's a trajectory, we're heading to a place where I'm afraid it's Lews Therin who actually fights Tarmangaiden and not Rand.
I think we can all accept the fact that it's going to come to a confrontation between the two. There's going to have to be a confrontation or a mutual understanding. There's only two outcomes of this.
I don't see the mutual understanding. That just doesn't seem to be the way that this book is headed.
Probably not.
Okay, so
but I'm giving you the choices that could possibly happen.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely. I'm not saying what is going to be. I'm going to say those are our only choices.
Yep.
Yes.
Because he's not going away.
Not with the next book being called the Lord of Chaos, or all these things being called fire. And
Egwene is concerned about these changes and how they might impact Rand's feelings toward Lanfear.
Whatever, Egwene. That's how I feel about you.
That was her concern. She says to Rand she hopes he's changed enough to do the things that he has to do. While we've disapproved of a lot of how Rand has changed, Moiraine seems to actually approve of the changes in Rand and hope for more.
Subject.
Yeah, what impact do you think Rand's inability to kill women?
Huge. This is gone beyond.
It's one word. It's large.
Haven't we seen the worst manifestation of it though? I mean, didn't we see about as bad as it could get?
I don't think so. I think it could
Really?
probably get worse.
Didn't it just almost lead to Rand's death?
It
almost did, but didn't. We dealt with one person who sacrificed herself to save him, as opposed to more actually dying. No one else actually died in our cast of characters. I could see it leading to that because of his inability to act, and that's my concern.
Okay, so but
I can see it getting incrementally worse.
You're right. Some of those people could have
died.
World,
the entire world that we're talking about could die.
Yeah, very well.
That's my point. Rand could have died here. His inability to kill a woman could have led to his death.
Yes.
And that's it. That's checkmate.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any worse than that.
It all depends if you believe the dragon can be reborn again.
Not in this era.
Well, right. We would go to the next
era.
It
only gets worse. It would get worse for Rand because it could be another Eliana moment.
If he killed a woman?
No, if he did not kill a woman, and then every woman in his life
died. Right. Yeah. I'm following you. Okay.
Yes, you're right. We're probably headed toward a moment where other women or other people die because of it.
Yeah.
But this was a moment where if he died, he could also die because of it, and that's worse. His death is worse than other people's.
I will say
the only
now
reason that he didn't is because of Moiraine.
I will say that now, theoretically, the largest and most imminent threat to him in that regards is dead.
Yep.
That's a little relieving.
Yes.
Now, Egwene doesn't have to worry about it anymore, about how he's going to react around her.
Should Lan have told Rand not to have relationships with any other woman and that death radiates from each of them?
No.
I loved it. I agree with it.
We get yes and no.
I get yes.
Well, if Eric was talking earlier about responsibility amongst friends, and if you care,
we're going back here.
Well, yeah, because
they're friends, aren't they?
It was like
exactly.
a 30-minute conversation. Okay,
but no,
go.
we can truncate that very easily. Just if that's the context, then the flip side of the coin is Lan actually believes that he is looking out for his friend's best interest.
I don't disagree with Lan.
Yes, I agree. I
don't
disagree with Lan.
There's truth to both sides.
I think that is the best advice to give as a friend.
It's not going to work because Rand's madly in love with all three of these women.
Well, no, it's not going to work because of what Rand said when he would tell Nynaeve is the fact that, you're not going to believe this.
Not only that, but Min's viewing, and that's game over.
You know what? It might be the best advice.
We don't even know what Min's viewing is at this point.
Actually, we have more of an idea now than we ever did before, but
not really, because all we know is that three of them are in love with him. And
it's probably really good advice to give to the Dragon Reborn. I don't necessarily know it's great advice to give to Rand al'Thor.
No. I'm going to say this. Lan spent more time with Rand than any of us have, and I agree with him. He's the one that was training him.
And less time with women that he was in love with. It's like he doesn't know women at all.
Right.
No, Lan understands. Lan understands his the fact that he is wed to the sword.
Lan understands his own feelings, but apparently he doesn't understand what you do and or do not say to a woman, especially if that woman's name is Nynaeve.
That's exactly how he understands. He understands, don't ever say this. This is what it's going to do to cut it off.
No, it's never going to cut it off.
It's not going to with Nynaeve.
Right, because it's Nynaeve.
So it's ineffective to say.
And then if he thinks that's going to work with Elaine, he doesn't understand. It's like these two do not understand the subject matter they're talking to. It's like they all of a sudden do not get these women.
I'm saying as a friend to Rand, he's not a friend. As a mentor to Rand.
Well, he says he's got friends also.
I think it was a good thing for him to say.
I think he just
might have been
the
wrong
thing. Well, yeah. I think it's.
But
I think he's just made the situation
worse. He's basically saying, "Hey, don't get confused with all this other stuff. You got a long road ahead of you."
The other stuff is maybe what's going to save him.
Let's wrap up the conversation of Rand with the discussion of Rand enters the world of dreams, and there was a question
did that once before.
Yes.
When? I don't remember.
Right, you wouldn't because
does.
Because the only way that we know that this has happened is what is going on here. So think about.
I thought that Nynaeve
he's tearing a hole in reality.
He's chasing after Ravin.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of moments where Ravin does some crazy stuff.
Right, and the only way we knew that
around him.
The only way we knew that could possibly happen was he was in the world of dreams.
Right. And
but
when was the one other time that he was chasing after somebody where crazy stuff was happening with matter?
Oh, that was
at the end of the Dragon Reborn.
It was that guy's name.
He was chasing a Shamael.
But we don't ever have an instance of him ripping open the fabric of reality to step into that world like Rand does here.
He chased after the gateway that a Shamael had created.
Right.
He went up the stairway.
What is implied here is that Rand did this before, as opposed to jumping through a hole that somebody else made. That's not what Jordan is saying here. He's saying Rand has done this before in terms of ripped a hole in fabric himself and jumped through. Or at least that's the way I took it.
I mean, the way that I took it was Rand has been through this situation before, and I thought back to because that moment chasing a Shamael where all of a sudden the entire air was fire, and then it was jelly, and then it was water, was so crazy to me that it stuck in my head.
Right, but there was no instance of there was a gateway he jumped through, there was no hole, he was just all of a sudden there.
Well, they stepped through, a gateway, right, and they stepped through a gateway. Right.
They didn't go through a gateway because Rand's shoe got shivved off
while he was running up the stairs, and then they went through an entryway. Okay, so I can avoid the term gateway.
I thought they were saying that Rand had created this. No, Rand has just been in. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
That's the way that I read it, and then that explains why all of a sudden he's swimming through water with these fishes with sharp teeth. out of nowhere. It's because he was chasing. He's had 2 instances where he's chased people who have incredible control over Toterand.
Yeah, it's like also what Perrin experiences when he's training with the wolf.
And this is something that Jordan does a really great job of, is giving us an initial introduction to something where he doesn't really flesh out all of the details of it, and then later on we have a similar experience where we're given more information, and then we're expected as readers to retrospectively understand what happened.
So Rand has done 2 things here he's never done before.
In the world of dreams?
No, in reality. In the flesh, he's ripped a hole. First of all, he's created his first gateway to peer in at
Right.
Ravine.
Yep.
Then he's also ripped a hole in the fabric of time to step into Tel'aran'rhiod in the flesh.
Did he create that, or did Robin create it?
No, he did. He creates it, and he goes through. And yeah. I mean,
Isn't he chasing
that's why
Robin?
I was confused. That's why I was confused about...
Isn't he chasing Robin at the moment? He
gets there.
He definitely creates a gateway for the first time. So now he has an understanding of traveling versus skimming, which is a huge deal, even though he's not quite sure how he did it.
Yeah.
But now we get a better understanding of what that chase after Ishamael was. And that's the reason why when it happens to him this time, there's a similarity there between the 2 happenstances. So he does a lot of really, as happens at the end of a lot of these books, a lot of really powerful stuff happens that Rand sort of can learn from and try to reproduce and learn through that. However, now he doesn't have Asmodean anymore to teach him.
No.
Speaking of people that have disappeared, it's time to wave happy trails.
Or not so happy trails.
To many characters. The least important but most disappointing to me is Pevin, Rand's standard bearer, who I've been a big fan of. I wish I could say for a long, long time, but it's only been several chapters.
It's been 2 weeks.
And there you go, Pevin. You were run through with a Trolloc spear, and unfortunately you weren't close enough to Rand to get struck down by lightning and revived.
I will say this much: no more misery can befall him.
Pevin
can't get any worse.
Pevin died with a miserable smile on his face.
Yeah.
Happy trails to you, Pevin.
Happy trails to you. Happy trails to Robin. You
really? Are we sure he's gone?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that burning in a towering inferno. Yeah, he's dead. Why wouldn't you think he's gone? I mean, I'm on board with you, Rand, that I'm not sure Moghedien or not Moghedien. I'm not sure Lanfear or Moiraine are gone, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Did you just call me Rand?
When he's chasing Ravine, he senses a residue in the air.
Right.
Of where Ravine has gone to, and he recreates that residue. So he does create his own.
There we go. Yes, right. He sees where he's gone, and then he reproduces.
Well, he sees a residue of a weave.
Right.
Ravine, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of consequences to this. Once again, we talked about the backlashing of effects, but now the throne's vacated.
Yeah. Andor
has no king, no queen. Right. She's gone. Everyone thinks the queen's dead.
Yep.
There's going to be a power struggle, I'm sure.
Same thing that happened in Cairhien.
Right, yeah. Civil war, perhaps, or
not
who knows what.
Definitely
Unless,
civil war. There was
Rand can step in and be like, I'm the king.
Yep, sure. But he's still got to nail down Cairhien. And
right,
now
and we know he's holding it
for
Ilion. We know he's holding it for Elaine, because he says this, he's got someone in mind, and everyone's like, oh. So, yeah, goodbye, Ravine. And I wonder... Yeah, he's going to go after Ilion, but...
I just want to say this as a caveat. I'm very surprised he died that fast. I thought that it would have been more books with him on the throne.
He did enough damage, man.
I mean, he's been on the throne for a while, causing all kinds of problems.
It's not been that long.
But if Rand had gone off against Samael, would you have thought that it had been too short for Samael?
I would have thought it would have been Samael that died, honestly.
Well, I don't think we've gotten. Rand thought it was going to be Samael.
Well, here's the thing: we've gotten a lot more of Ravine over these books than we've gotten of Samael. So
exactly, that's why I thought it would be Samael.
Oh, to me, it makes sense just in writing of now we're gonna get more Samael.
He was established to have he got up to this point, and I just thought it would be more chaos with him on the throne. But
I thought it was a great battle. I like how he got his face melted, and we encountered crazy stuff.
Yeah, we learned a lot more about things that can get done in Toterand.
Yeah.
Somebody who's not going to be able to teach Rand any more about Toterand is going to be Asmodean. That's somebody who I did not see dying at the end of this book.
Me either.
That
you bring him back from being dead to being dead again.
And well, is he dead?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
He was
Good
charred
question.
there. I mean, if we, then we.
No,
can
I'm
go
talking
back
about dead in the end when whoever it is that does whatever they do to him at the end of the book. Oh no.
Oh, right. Yes, I mean you don't do that scene unless the beginning of the next book is and he gets punched in the face.
Well, he could be enslaved. He could be, and all sorts of things.
I suppose, Adam. How did you read it?
That has been these books in general. Is that these, the biggest evil keeps coming back to life.
Yeah, I mean we've seen Ishamael. We thought was dead 3 times.
I do think it's very strange think
it's
really strange that Moiraine would go to warn Rand about him specifically, and then he dies at the end of this book. It's weird.
Well, then the question is, does Rand know?
No, not yet.
Will he ever? How do we know?
Well, yes, he'll know. He'll know sometime within the next couple of nights when his minstrel doesn't show up.
Well, that doesn't mean he doesn't think he didn't run.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, you don't have to know he's dead. He's just gone. There's many reasons he could be gone.
He could conclude that he's fled instead.
I hope that happens.
Well,
he's like that darn.
I hope not, because then he could go on a wild goose chase looking for Asmodean instead.
Sure.
We don't want that to happen. That would be a major distraction.
Well, as of this point, Asmodean, we left our hero, can't do that much with the power. So,
right, but if Rand is chasing after a dead guy, I mean, that
what I was surprised about was, here's what I don't understand. When Lanfear went into the thing and died, we think, shouldn't the weave around Asmodean have disappeared? So if it didn't, she's not dead.
Okay, so let's transition to Lanfear and Moiraine because they're tied together here.
Yeah.
Adam, you were wondering where Lanfear had been and what she was doing with Qadir. So Lanfear had put the fear of God into Qadir regarding her authority over him and what he was there to do and make happen. And she comes back.
Why did she appear to him once as Lanfear and once as Kylie? Why did it matter?
The only reason I can think that she appeared as Kylie is she appeared outside the wagon.
Okay. Sure.
Because you're right. It's really insignificant.
Well, but appearing outside the wagon, wouldn't everybody else be like, where'd that broad come from?
It was probably just a safety mechanism. I don't think it's of any... It's not that interesting. And it creates a dramatic moment too, right?
That he hears her voice before he sees her.
Right, because he is shocked. I mean, she
She's
shouldn't have made it out of the
somewhere.
waist.
Yeah.
Well, she should be bones in the waist. Nobody makes it
Very
out of
large bones, apparently.
Oh, you're saying she's large bone, not fat.
There you go.
Giant femurs.
The
size of which you would never believe.
So it's funny. She goes in and she's talking to him and she questions him and he's trying to just give her any sort of information he has because he realizes that's what she's looking for is just information. And so he wants to spill it all out.
Does not go well.
And it's the fact that he's seen Rand and Avienda together and suspects that something has happened there.
Because
and that
he's deducing how women look at men.
And there's probably some rumors going around about that relationship. That's the thing that does him in.
Yeah. No fault of his own. His usefulness has ceased because who knows why? She's ticked off.
I don't think she has.
I guess
there's not a rational moment there.
If you're not paying attention to what this person actually is, maybe. I mean, we know it as a reader that that's what she's obsessed with. I guess that doesn't come across to him.
No. How would he know? He has no way of knowing that. Like she was once the lover of some dude back in the Age of Legends.
Implanted in this other guy's head.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to know any of that.
No. But
he doesn't know
goodbye,
anything.
Qadir, and can't say that I'll miss you, because...
Well, I don't think anybody deserves to be skinned alive.
He's a dark friend. He deserves nothing less.
So, Moiraine has known about this moment since Rhuidean.
The first time I read this, I threw my book across the room. I was so upset. I have never in my life been so attached to a character in a book as I have been to Moraine.
That's awesome. It's great that you had an emotional experience with a book like that. That's wonderful.
Right? No, because I
read about Dumbledore. You never read about Dumbledore.
So
we'll address this here really, really quickly. You never experienced this because this is a trope. He does it in a great way, and it is emotionally compelling. But this is not the first time that this gets done in fantasy. So we've cited some of the other versions of it. The most direct one that I can think of is Sirius Black, because Sirius Black in the Harry Potter series literally falls through a doorway.
After this,
that was after this. This comes
well
before
after
that.
this.
Well,
why are you bringing that up?
It's just indicative of a trope. Gandalf did it beforehand. Obi-Wan Kenobi gave his life up so that Luke Skywalker could be guided by him.
I was surprised that this happened at this point.
And not only that, but that letter that she writes, I don't know why, and I don't know why I attach this character so much or what about her it is, but like that letter is just fantastic.
It is. And the amazing thing is that the end of the letter itself is the one that hit it's what you brought up before, Dave. It's what hit the hardest with me, is that you will do well, Rand. Right. And this is on top of the fact that earlier when Moraine met up with Rand, she said, "You are no longer the boy I met at the."
Okay, let's get into this. Let's get into this letter, but we didn't wrap up Lanfear. I used these two as a tie-in, so we're gonna end with this letter before our Coplin of the week and who leveled up. But let's wrap up Lanfear first. So this was an amazingly powerful Aes Sedai, probably the most powerful from the Age of Legends, the most powerful Forsaken from everything that we know. And
I don't believe either of them
next to maybe
are gone.
Demandred.
All right, and now they seem to be gone. I agree that we haven't seen the bodies, and so in any sort of story, that's a concern.
They can't get back out to the Angreal. We know that much.
We'll be looking out in the next book to see if they reemerge. It is concerning that the shield on Asmodean didn't disappear. I would agree that is a major key to whether or not she's actually dead. At the same time, and now we can transition to Moiraine. Land senses that Moiraine is gone. So if Moiraine is gone, Lanfear is gone.
Is there another fantasy book series I haven't read by Robert Jordan that's about Moiraine and Lanfear's travels through the doorway frame?
Doorway? No, why?
Yes, it's called Through the Looking Glass.
Right.
They
through
just
the twisted
friends.
storm frame. Well, I will say,
they're just falling forever, and
can
then
you?
Like, oh wait, what do we have?
The door frame completely melts. They can't get back now.
No, that's why I said that earlier. I said that. Yeah.
No. My question is, so there's another door frame in the tower that goes to the same area.
No, it doesn't go to the same area. It goes you're talking about one in Tyr, and that goes to a different realm.
Right, the snake
that goes to the snake
Remember,
people, not the foxes.
Right.
Oh. Well, do we know that they're different?
Well, they look different. Yeah,
and they operated. Remember, they operated as almost sealed off things.
I'm just trying to keep Moiraine alive. I'm sorry.
I understand. I want to keep her alive too.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right. That's what I'd said. There's no way out.
Right. The bigger thing is not that they die going through it, but that the door completely.
Well, what I'm wondering, and the reason I brought that up is, so there's all that crazy power going on. We know who the stronger channeler of the two is.
Mm-hmm.
Moiraine disappears. Lanfear's bond is still there.
Right.
So my question is, when to the other side, did Moiraine die at the hands of Lanfear and Lanfear not die because she's a stronger channeler? But that was my question: is can you channel when you go to the other side? And we don't know, but apparently you can because it was still going on while they were gone, and then the door frame melted. Why do you have to bring that up,
Dave?
I'm just curious.
He's killing his dream.
Why you gotta do that?
I'm trying to figure out the physics.
Remember when we were skipping along?
I know. Believe me.
With hands held for Moiraine.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Now we're just on our knees,
crying,
trying to skip,
and I'm laughing at you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're gonna see. Now you're gonna see what happens to Rand without that positive influence. It's gonna go downhill rapidly.
It's a big loss, and I don't like losing Moiraine either. I mean, I've been disappointed with who she's been for the last couple of books. I mean, even with...
How could you have been? Because she hasn't been around.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that even with the role that she's decided to take, it still would have been nice to have some of those moments with the two of them talking with an appreciation.
Apparently she's the only one he talks to.
Right, yeah.
We had some. We had some here and there that we commented on, and it's sad that it's few and far between.
So Lanfear could be gone or could not be.
It is kind of weird that Jordan just like made her disappear and then killed her off.
But it's the fact that Lan's bond is gone that is the stake in the heart of Moiraine for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else it could be otherwise.
I didn't really believe that Tom was dead. I believe more that Moiraine is dead than when Tom went off to chase the Fade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I had to put it on a scale. But she does leave this letter for Rand.
But I should, because of what you just said.
Yeah.
That's pretty damning that now he's off to go do whatever he's going to do.
Right. I mean, story logic doesn't kill off Moiraine, but the logic of the story sort of kills off Moiraine.
Well, yeah, the bond disappearing is like, I don't know how else that would happen.
Right. So she leaves this letter for Rand. She reveals that she's known about this since Rhuidean. She tells him not to trust Varen, interestingly, or any Aes Sedai, but she uses Varen's name and not names of any other Aes Sedai. Yeah. Now, we can get why she doesn't trust Varen. Varen is the one who's insinuated herself into the confidences of Swan.
The best part is Varen's done nothing but good stuff.
No. Let's get.
But everyone doesn't trust her.
Eric has been questioning Varen.
No, I completely agree. But she's done nothing for us to distrust her. Literally nothing, other than being in places at times. No. But everything she's done has been good.
Definitely, I totally agree with you.
But everyone doesn't trust her.
No, this is how I've been doing it the entire time. But Eric has been always reticent about trusting.
Yeah, I'm
based on no factual evidence. It's just a gut feeling.
And now,
what? And now Moiraine doesn't trust her either. Yeah. So. Yeah. Moiraine's in my corner, not in yours.
I don't like it at all.
You thought you were on Team Moiraine. Moiraine is actually on Team Eric. She seems also to know about Alviarin.
Rand shared the letter with her.
Right. She seems to just flat out think she's Black Aja.
Oh.
Hey, do you think Moiraine regrets her decisions, her early decisions of how she handled Rand?
Yeah, I think so. She says that.
I don't know, but differently.
What she could have done differently is had a more hands-off approach.
Would that have worked in the beginning when he wasn't
inhaled? Like, what would that have entailed?
Or given him more information rather than holding all the information.
Yeah, I think that would have been the bigger difference, is giving him more information. The hands-off approach wouldn't have worked.
Right. You have to tell him something. Right. She had to get him at least out of the two rivers.
Yeah.
It seems she really...
Yeah, so she tried to guide his steps by withholding information, is what you're saying then?
Yeah. She was too close-vested about stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
That
makes sense.
It seems the letter to Tom informs him of what happened to his nephew, which is interesting.
Do you think...
I want to read this letter. I want to know what's in this letter.
Rand wanted to read the letter.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he doesn't.
Do you think she actually knows about that? Or she was lying about the fact that she knew information?
I think she knew she was going to die. There's no point in lying.
I think she's got something to tell him. I don't know how much of the contents of what she has to reveal.
Well, remember, she told Tom that she knew what happened, and one day she would tell him.
Yeah, whenever that day is, whenever Rand sees Tom again, which who knows when that'll be.
She's not lying to Tom, and then
I don't think so. No,
doing that.
At the beginning of this book, Tom pulls Moraine's sapphire from a fire in Egwene's dream.
I forgot about
Does that have anything to do with this letter that Moiraine is sending him?
No, the letter that Moiraine is sending him is about what happened to his nephew.
Well, we don't know that's all that it's all about. We know that's maybe part of it, but there may be more to it. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm just so confused about whatever that was.
I'd completely forgotten about that.
Yeah, it just brought up the memory in my head about that when this letter was specifically sent to Tom.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, those two seem to be linked.
To those two being Tom and Moiraine.
Right. But
I hadn't really thought about that because I'd forgotten about that particular vision.
I mean, this is the only link that we know of up to this point that they have. But this isn't a link of him helping her. This is a link of her helping him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The thing that's weird to me is why in the world...
That's why we need to read this stupid letter.
I just don't get why Tom would be pulling that from...
We don't know.
A fire when he's not anywhere close to where she...
Unless it's an allusion to something else that we have no idea about. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
She knew who Natail was.
Yeah.
All along, apparently.
How? Well,
because she's Moraine.
Meridian? Well, yeah. But do you think that was...
No, I think it's just Moraine being Moraine.
Right. Moraine being Moraine and using her deductive reasoning and probably understanding that Rand would be on the outlook for somebody to actually teach him.
Not only that, but I mean, if you paid any attention to the way that Rand talked to him, no simple gleeman's getting these words shouted at him like amongst people. Like you wouldn't care about your minstrel that much to be like having him with you all the time.
Especially not Rand. As much as Egwene would say that Rand has become an
swollen
egotist,
head.
he's not this guy.
Right. And then he just says strange things to him.
Yes.
Like if you add them up and you're a smart woman like Moraine is.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to have somebody constantly walking around me, providing me with the soundtrack for my life. That would be awesome.
Mine would not be good.
I wouldn't like it if it were Asmodean.
Or if it were constantly revealing your inner emotions, which Asmodean is always doing.
It's like just getting a dirge all the time.
I love this letter. I already miss Moraine. Why did we not get any of this leading up to this moment? Why didn't we have any of these sweet interactions between these two?
We did for a very short period of time before she went to Rhuidean.
No,
and then she became morose.
This is the most of Moraine we've had in a long time.
No, it's so sad.
Yes,
it's so awful.
Well,
I hate it.
Like Dave a couple podcasts ago when he was lamenting or he was praising Avienda. Now you're finally praising Moraine. So welcome to the team, Eric.
Yes.
One of you have lost her.
Right. Don't know what you got.
Dave and I would offer you a hand to skip down the street, but we don't have enough energy because we're mourning.
We're morose.
Who is your Coplin of the week, Adam?
My Coplin of the week? I don't know how it can't be Elida because she's just my Coplin of the book.
Okay. Good call.
And the fact that what the heck is she doing?
Nothing good.
And then she's just demoting. She's arresting accepted. And she's just making less and less chairs in her office to be available to have any conversation.
Her inner circle has turned into an inner semi.
Yeah, and she's trying to take
circle. Yeah.
She's trying to take control of the tower. Or I mean, she has control of the tower. Tower 1, as they would say. But that Tower 1 is now
not doing well.
Minus, she's terrible.
All right, that's a good call. I did not see that coming.
It's just funny that we get more information here at the end of the book of, oh, wait, remember her?
Yeah, exactly, because so much is else going on.
She's still awful.
You forgot about just how awful she is, and then you find out, wait, she's even worse.
Here are more examples of how awful she is.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right.
Ugh.
Nice. Mine is Mogedion.
Now that's a strong one because she's crawling towards.
She's
Nynaeve.
So annoying,
and she's been pervasive throughout this whole book, sneaking around in the back scenes, similar to what Lanfear is doing. But Lanfear is
creeping up the backstairs,
and now Mogedion might be the most powerful Forsaken out there, except for the fact that eventually Nynaeve had to release her, she's sitting snoozing somewhere in some tent. Hopefully Nynaeve can find her soon, but she's caused a lot of problems for Nynaeve. She's fractured Nynaeve's psyche. Hopefully that's gotten repaired at this point.
I'll keep calling her Mogedion,
but she's
because that's what it's said to me.
She is a rotten soul.
Yeah.
So she's my Coplin of the week.
That's a good call.
Mine is Rand.
Whoa!
Rand cost me Moraine. Rand cost the world Moraine.
How so?
Yeah,
because he can't kill a woman.
He couldn't kill a woman.
So you want Rand to kill women? Okay.
Well, I want him to kill Lanfear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even think that is like
it's not even a second thought.
Not even a woman at that point. That's just a horrible being.
She's evil incarnate, totally, and you can't kill evil incarnate because of the gender. you're screwed.
Yeah, I
because
understand. I guess I understand that more than you guys.
There's 3 other Forsaken women.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Eric?
I said, I guess I understand that more than you guys do. I can understand why he would. I would have a I can understand the challenge that would be. That would be a big challenge for me.
Or some random woman. Not even a second thought.
Okay.
Not even my friends. The world.
That too. And not only that, your life, because the whole world depends on your life.
Dave, if I nail it down to my friends or my family and there's just some woman, sorry.
Yeah, you're going to go. Yeah, okay. I mean, I will feel bad about it, but I'm not going to feel. I would feel much worse if my friends and my family died because of that woman.
Yes,
and then how would you deal with that guilt? Because that's what he's dealing with now.
Eric, that is awful. Hey, Dave, if ever you and I have a situation where there's a woman in front of us,
we'll
that's
stick Eric off to the side and say, "Don't you come anywhere near this."
Eric is the only one that's going to be able to save us.
We're screwed.
We're screwed.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
In other words, then we have to bump Eric off first.
You're the worst.
Therefore, we save the rest of us. So Eric's going off the lifeboat first.
Oh my gosh! For real.
For reals.
Go be chum.
Adam, who leveled up for you?
Nynaeve leveled up for me in the fact that she, I don't know if it was like quick thinking or if she thought about it beforehand. But the fact that she used the IDOM on Mogadine.
Mogadine,
as we say it in these parts.
It's not a coffee.
Books. Is Mogadine a coffee?
It sounds like a coffee.
Is it a cap?
It's like Nestle Toulouse.
No, the fact that she was able to overcome everything that she's been fearing in this entire book.
Yeah, she
being weak and whatnot, and she did it. It was a little rough because she was crawling to her originally, but then she overcame it. And way to go, Nynaeve.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't have any of these other annoying.
And then she siphoned her powers, and she did all sorts of crazy stuff in Toterand that she'd never done before.
Big win there. Big win there for her at the end. Who leveled up for you, Dave?
Moraine, for the last time. I mean, she went to face her death.
Which she's known about for a while, which can explain some of her demeanor.
And she did it.
Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that she knew the other two. No, we didn't talk about the fact that she knew the other two versions of what would take place.
The outcome. What would happen if she had not gone down
either
that path.
Rand go insane or Rand fall in love with Lanfear.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to talk about it. That's just it.
No, it's right. It's 2 bad choices. She took the better one.
At the cost of herself. And it's kind of like...
she knew it enough to leave that Terungariel out.
Right. She did a lot of planning the night before.
Yeah.
She had to know who Kadir was, right?
I don't think that's necessary.
She just knew where it was going to happen.
I think she knew she was going to confront
that's so weird if she didn't know who Kadir was.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre.
That's bravery and courage at a whole nother level. When you have to make that choice and think about the fact that she intentionally forestalled Rand to not go attack that night. That's why she did it. She said, go tomorrow, knowing that she was going to have to die tomorrow and that he was going to have to be there to witness it, to have it all happen, to work out.
Yeah, that was a moment that I read that was just like, oh, wait, no, you're saying go tomorrow and you're agreeing with the fact that Rand should go there when you wouldn't any other way.
Right. And the signifier for her was the fact that somebody was going to come and reveal that Morghese was dead. And so that's how she knew that it was the moment. And that's the reason why she put all those machinations into place.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my pick.
So mine was also Nynaeve. Let's not forget that she also killed Robin. Adam, you cited the fact that
Rand killed Robin with Bale of Fire.
Yeah, Rand killed Robin. What are you talking about?
She set him on fire. Rand then blasted him with the Bale of Fire.
So
she saw him
Rand
die.
ultimately killed him, but if she hadn't set him on fire, Rand would have been turned
she
into
let him
that
there too.
beast.
Yeah. He because he was going to kill her. Robin would have killed her.
Well, but Robin would have turned Rand into an animal, and Rand would have been trapped there.
Potentially, if Rand had, one of two things might have happened there. Theron might have taken over and been like, no, we're going to do this instead.
It seemed like Rand pretty much had Theron in control at that point.
I don't know if Rand ever has Theron in control.
Well, I think while he's not got as much of control over him as he did before, he's still got enough control over him.
He certainly disappeared once the Balefire came out.
Right, yeah. No, I think Nynaeve being there is necessary. If she's not there, the savior of the world gets trapped.
Yeah, not only that, he doesn't know where he is, too. Yeah.
So she's there. And then not only that, but she overcomes this fear. And she seems now to be on the road to good footing again with Birgitte. And
she can get over that stupid block she has.
And Elaine. And my gosh, with the maturity that she's been developing over these last couple of books, we could be seeing we know she's the most powerful of all of these people, so she could be
girls, yeah.
She's going to be really, really important, and she could be, sort of a counterbalance to Rand.
Yeah, she could go off and kill the women.
That you believe that, because I just feel like someone's going to make her a sweater that doesn't fit her right, and she's going to be upset for about 2.5 books.
Well, I tell you this much. Once she gets word from Rand about land, she's not going to be pleased.
She did get... No,
he told her, but we got no reaction from her about it.
We didn't get the reaction. We didn't get the reaction.
Rand told Nynaeve.
Yeah, he did, Adam. Right. But we did not get the reaction.
Nynaeve was just like...
Nynaeve's reaction... Well, we got a little bit of a reation. She was like...
I think her reaction was exactly what Rand thought it would be.
There will be more.
Whatever it is, she's going to ignore that.
Well,
right?
What he didn't say was that he went off to a green sister.
I think he did. I think he
didn't come Rand did not say that. Oh, okay. Rand did not say that to her. Lan said that to Rand.
But Rand did not say it to her about Lan.
We don't know who that is, right?
No, not that I know of.
Because we always assumed it was just going to be Nynaeve.
I don't know that we assumed it was going to be anything.
No.
We did. We definitely did.
All right. Okay. That's fair enough. Yeah, that wraps up episode 45. Yes. Join us for episode 46 when we'll read The Lord of Chaos and the prologue. So until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and she's to give you many cubs.
Dovienne se tovia to gain.